Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talking, they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in. Here gonna show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
What's up, BSers?
It's all about that BS, baby.
Feels good to be back.
Got Drew in the driver's.
One more week.
Driver's passenger seat. I don't know what you want to call it, but Fred will be back next week. So we've got Drew in the driver's seat with me this week. We've got Ryan over at the producer desk. We've got James over there on the couch, and we've got Joe on the couch. And let's just let them get it out of the fucking way right now.
Couch.
Gator couch, baby.
The Gator couch. They're so happy because they won the damn Twitter poll.
These are the dumbest people over here. They're both Penn State, Maryland, and Gator fans. Make up your fucking mind.
Oh gosh. So they're proudly wearing that, trolling the living crap out of me today for the fact that they won the Twitter poll that we put up for the worst busts in Ravens history.
Correct.
And they made sure I saw their shirts as soon as I came.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, look at our shirts.
You just got to remember, Penn State has better IQs than Maryland.
Yeah.
That's debatable.
Also
Okay.
better pedophiles.
That's only the coaches, not players.
Oh, all right.
wrong.
All right. Well, we got a good show for you guys this week. On the Ravens front, we're a week into training camp at this point. A lot of exciting things that have happened. A lot of concerning things as well. So we're going to get into that as they announce a major signing over the weekend. And we've got some injuries / COVID issues that are hitting the team already. Not a good way to start that first week. Not something that you want to see. The Birds.
Man, doing pretty good since the All-Star break.
Man.
Gotta like it.
Continuing their winning ways since the break. Quiet at the deadline. We're going to talk about two moves that kind of went actually under the radar, but not horrible. We're going to talk about that. Ryan is excited to hear Terps football news. They're reporting high vaccination rates. I think we're going to get into that a little bit of how high it is. It's actually a pretty good number. And we got some former Terps that are shuffling around in the NBA, and including one Terp that also made a visit to College Park. So Ryan's excited to get into that a little bit later. And this week's rundown, we're talking NBA trades and free agency, name changes. We all know where that one's going. A high schooler getting paid, U.S. soccer, and the Mets bungling a trade. We'll get into what bungling means later because one person wrote that, and we're going to get into who did that.
I did it.
But before we get started, I know exactly who did it. I can see the changes. But before we get started, Drew, let's give a shout out to our sponsor.
It's that favorite time of the day. MD Crash. Injured at work or in an auto accident and not sure who to call? 855-MD Crash are the Maryland personal injury attorneys that have your back. If you find yourself in that unfortunate situation, like some of us have, give our team at MD Crash a call right away. We all know that costs of medical bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering can all add up quickly and potentially put you in a bad financial position. If you want a team that will handle your case, big or small, or just give you that peace of mind, save this number. If you haven't, you should. We already talked about it, but save it. 855-MD-CRASH. That's 855-632-7274. Be sure to follow them on Facebook, all the social medias, and for fun giveaways, including tickets and some of our hometown teams. I'm going to miss not reading that.
You can sit on the couch and do
I'm
it.
gonna say real quick. I'm gonna go outside and rear end the shit out of you so you can have your own experience.
I got a knock on the car.
Whoa.
Not rear end me there.
That just took a whole different turn.
Drew gets so
I'm never getting
caught
Fred
up.
drunk around Ryan. We know that now.
Oh, right?
Drew gets so caught up because apparently he hasn't been in an accident
I don't
before.
know. I don't want to lie with the read-through. I can't lie.
He needs an accident experience.
Someone tapped my bumper once. It was 12 years ago.
Jesus Christ. All right, well, let's go to Ravens Flock, guys. Ravens, it's Flock Talk. 41 days now, I believe, that we have until the Monday Night Football opener.
Yes.
So we are dialing in there. We're coming down to the wire as we start preseason here in the coming weeks.
No more Sundays without any football. So
Yeah.
from now on,
Till
every
February.
Sunday plus till February has NFL
Till
football.
technically what, March, right? The
February.
February.
Isn't
I
the
mean,
Super
if you
Bowl?
want to count the combine, I don't know.
I thought the Super Bowl this coming year was going to be
Still in February.
Okay, I thought it was maybe it's the last week of February then.
It might be in April soon enough, though. We never know.
Sounds good.
So, kind of want to go over a few things. We heard some of the Ravens that started obviously going into the week. We started with the training camps starting up, and we heard from Jeff Zrebeck some of the Ravens that were placed on the PUP list, the active PUP list. So Nick Boyle, we all knew that
doesn't
was
shock
coming.
you.
Stone Cold.
Do what?
Did you see? He looks like Stone Cold.
looks like Stone
Oh,
Cold.
does he?
He shaved his head.
I have not seen that yet.
Oh.
Ronnie Stanley down with the ankle again, recovering. Not a surprise here. Otara Alaka with the knee, the inside linebacker. He's not on the active list. He could come off at any point.
Yeah, that's the thing about the PUP list. Anybody during the preseason, you can come off at any time.
And then the one that was, it stinks because I think he's going to get pushed out this year is Iman Marshall. I don't think he's with the team after this. He's on the PUP list, cornerback with the knee issue. They have so much depth there. I just don't know that it's going to happen. Again, these guys can, come off at any point. Of these players, who concerns you the most and who concerns you the least?
I think the easy answer would be Ronnie being a left tackle, and I get that, but I'll take a different approach and it being Nick Boyle.
Okay.
So I think it's a major difference not having Nick Boyle's presence on that line too, because I mean, look, he is one of the best blocking tight ends in the league, and he's also sneakily as that. Without having to be that number one guy because it is Andrew's job, he is one of those sneaky good tight end twos that has a lot of targets still. And I mean, yeah, we want to see kind of a third tight end or a slot guy kind of stretch the field more to open him up. But that, for me, that's what I'm saying. He's no slouch when it comes to the passing game, and he's a hell of a blocker. So, you know what I mean? You got that combo there for me.
I don't disagree with you here, based off of what John Harbaugh said today in his presser. He was, they were asked about Ricard and his role with Boyle being out, right? And he basically said, he's that guy. He's going to be asked to probably do a little bit more routes while Nick's out. And even while Nick is back, he might be asked to do it every once in a while so that Nick gets some relief, basically.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. For me, I got to go with the token answer here, though. It's Ronnie, right? I mean, there's a lot of question marks on this line. We're starting to see, some of the things play out. Not quite how we thought, though. They were asked today. Apparently, there were multiple high snaps today at practice, which there was some concern of, and that was out of not only Bozeman but Macari, both of them kind of filling in where they can. But the issues are still continuing. It sounds like you hope they get the yips out of the way now, and this isn't a continued thing. You don't even have your regular quarterback in there, so maybe that's playing a role in it.
I mean, it could help alleviate. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people that say, look, it's just kind of like, a pitcher. You can throw batting practice all day, but when you get into a game, it's a little bit different of a situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So it could go both ways in that sense. But for me, I think it's got to be Ronnie. Anybody on the couch or Ryan, any disagreements in those two? Or
For me, it's definitely Ronnie. I think Nick Boyle, we want him out there, but we have so many other options. We have, you said Andrews is obviously the number one tight end. You have Pat Ricard on the blocking side. Not to mention,
Tomlinson, Wolf.
And the terrible
Poljan.
Michigan player we've brought in to be a fullback. Those kind of things.
I need to bring him up though, because apparently once the pads came on, my boy's been at least getting under some skin of the defense.
His toes are fixed now.
Apparently.
I guess.
Another guy that was there was a question mark originally in camp was Ben Cleveland. This was news when I saw it because it was like, oh, you hope this is something small. He showed up on the NFI list. So what this is he has to pass. Every player has to pass a conditioning test before being allowed into camp. He didn't pass it.
He passed it the second time.
He passed it the second time. Now the big thing is Ravens media and Ravens fans kind of freak out when they hear this, but they don't recognize, like, sometimes it's just an extra. They were literally a second off or half a second or one rep off of something on the conditioning test. It can be changed. It can be adjusted. A player can have a bad day. There's a reason for that. If you have a guy that's on the list multiple times after the conditioning test,
problem.
That's the concern.
Show the commitment.
That's the Michael Pierce situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
What I was thinking of. Yeah.
So
yeah, that was my thing. Yeah, it's the conditioning test. Ravens are kind of notorious for it. Now they're not the only ones to do it, but they're kind of notorious for, like, they take it seriously, maybe a little more seriously or the most seriously in the league.
Yeah.
So when a guy fails it, I mean, a lot of stars for this team have failed it the first time when they come back from camp. It's the fact that, like, you had your OTAs and you looked, way more in shape, and then you went on your vacations before the season and you lost
you
that
benched
shape.
a little bit.
You're
Yeah.
like, I'm back in, coach. I'm telling you now, I'm not going to pass it.
He had a few too many squirrels. That's what this was,
man,
right?
That's probably what it was.
That's my thing is that you look at this guy. If this man, this chiseled piece of rock, is not passing your conditioning test, maybe you got to take a look at this conditioning test. Like the players we have heard not passing but have not gotten through it in the past were our out of shape defensive linemen, the people we kind of looked at and were like, of course you came back and couldn't pass the test. This is the first one I can remember where you're like,
B. Will, I think, was on it at one point.
Really didn't.
Yeah.
like that guy looks really conditioned.
That's the thing is you never know, like, what the situation is that in what they never release, like, what part of the conditioning test that they failed on, which is the hard part, right? Because it could be something as simple as a rep. It could be a timing, like, if they're doing runs and you have to run within a certain time. We're not given all these parameters. So I think it's when you see a guy fail it multiple times, that's when you start getting worried. Some of these guys, they fail it the first time. It's especially a rookie, he's never done this before. Right, so it may not be something he's used to. It may just be, hey, give me an extra day or two. I didn't realize that this test was going to be this hard, right? And I get
I think
it.
that's what it is too. You might take it a little nonchalant one way or the other. That could happen, but you don't know.
But on the plus side, look at what the Ravens staff does as a whole, right? Because it's not just a conditioning test. We have supposedly one of the hardest physicals to pass.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have a guy who we're going to talk about here in a second that passed it. But you have other guys like Juwan James, who obviously after this offseason,
yeah, he's not playing this season.
Yeah.
I know Harbaugh, when he signed him, Harbaugh was like, well, maybe by then, no, he's
maybe if you're in the playoffs and you need another body and he's healthy by that point,
but I wouldn't risk it.
Yeah, I wouldn't
It's
either.
for next year anyway.
But EDC shows his genius once again. Okay? And all you fans that were freaking out, and why the fuck did it take this long? Why the fuck did it take this long? We signed Justin Houston. Okay? We signed him. We got the deal to happen. He passed his physical yesterday. Exciting.
He's getting vaccinated next week.
I think he gets
he's already vaccinated.
He got vaccinated yesterday or today.
Yeah,
and
so
then he has to wait 5 days.
Yeah, with the rules, he has to wait 5 days.
So, with that being said, this deal was signed on Saturday. 1 year, up to $4 million. The actual contract, the deal is 2.075 cap hit per Sarah Ellison. The rest is all incentive based. You just signed a guy with 97 and a half career sacks
For $2 million.
for $2 million. A guy that probably could have gotten and apparently was offered much more elsewhere.
Well, I mean, we've said
in the AFC
North,
by the way.
North, they went with a different pass rusher because he probably was like, no,
exactly.
Sign with your rival.
But we heard him Monday in his presser and through some rumors from John Harbaugh as well. Marcus Peters, a big helper in this deal.
Yeah.
Because he was advocating for the Ravens. Him and Justin are apparently really good friends, and they were talking. They've been trying to make it happen. Well, it happened, and Peters is happy to have helped recruit because he called Houston a hashtag a quote great leader.
Great leader.
Yeah, hashtag quote great leader, whatever you want to call it. So the fact that he's there again, 32 years old. He's getting up there, but this is not a guy that's going to be there, and he's not going to. You're not going to ask this guy to play every day.
Yeah, you're not
it's
signing
not
him for 5 years. And the thing of it is, it's 4 straight years of having 8 sacks plus.
Yeah,
8 sacks doesn't sound great.
Go ahead.
They were teammates, weren't they? In
Kansas City. Yeah, him and Peters were. So yeah, and 19 sacks over the last 2 seasons, right? To
So
your
that would
point,
be my point. You can hear 8 sacks and you can think it's not a high number, but you're not having him come in and be, you know what I mean? You're not paying him to come in and be like you're not paying him to come in and do 18 sacks a game. But if you tell me he's having 8 sacks this year, I'd actually be ecstatic with that exact number, because that means it probably opened it up for a lot of these other guys like Owe and helped Owe out.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. Like Adafia Owe, your 2021 first rounder, and Dalen Hayes, 2021 fifth rounder. This guy is going to come in and help teach these guys. And we heard Owe in his presser this week talk about who he's been listening to, which is Calais Campbell.
Yeah.
He's said, I'm absorbing everything I can from a guy with 90 sacks. And when the guy with 97.5 sacks gets here, I'm going to be absorbing all I can from him too.
More. And from even before Justin Houston came in, you've heard a lot of good stuff from Owe so far.
Yeah.
But Steven Severs with a point here. Put Justin Houston on 3rd and long. Yeah, here we can use him more of a situational pass rusher. There he was their dude. He had to roll.
Yeah.
So he could just be more successful just by being less winded and having to play less snaps here.
But let me give you a little bit broader picture here to the Ravens flock and to everybody that is complaining about the Justin Houston signing and why it took so long. The people that are complaining that we didn't sign Matt Judon or Ngakoue. Okay, let's take a look at this. Thanks to Sarah Ellison for these numbers. Matt Judon signed a deal 6.3 in the 2021 cap hit. Right, that's what it is. It's an average per year of 13.6. Yannick, $13 million cap hit.
We know that's
EDC, in his genius, pulled off this $9.93 million cap hit. And it's not Justin Houston. It's Justin Houston and Tyus Bowser and Pernell McPhee and Jalen Ferguson and Odafe Owe and Dalen Hayes. You signed for under what you had Yannick for. You signed 6 guys at this point. Between the draft
for just under $10 million.
For just under $10 million. And 3 of them you have under team control for the next 3 to 4 years. That is value, people. That is what EDC does best. At what point? I'm just going to ask you guys.
Go with the couch first.
Okay, Couch. Questions to you first.
Give him a shot.
Give him a shot. Can people just trust EDC already?
I already
trust
do.
the process.
The process. Don't bring the process into EDC's name.
Yeah.
I have no problem with him, and
Do you have any problem with the fans who do have a problem with him or are complaining?
We're just greedy because we have the Orioles, and they're like, "Oh, we want to keep on going. We're always there. We never had a bad we never had the opportunity to draft high lately because we're always in the mix of playoffs. So between Ozzy and
EDC.
it's there.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with Ozzy, too. Everyone would stand on the moon and shout and go, what is he doing? And then you come in with these deals, and everyone's like, all right, we're good to go. Let's get
These are
rolling.
2 of the best in the business at looking at the future.
I agree with that.
Teams won it, both of them at one point.
Well, and that's the thing is you have those guys, right? And you talk Rex Ryan was talking about the fact that he's got Ferguson he's going to be working with. He's got a way that he's going to be working with.
It's Rob.
Rob.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want people giving Rex too many fucking
Rob Ryan.
Yeah, Rex Ryan is home massaging feet.
But
so some quarterback
with Rob, that's the thing is that he was talking about. I got all these guys to work with, and then in his presser he goes, "Oh, and by the way, I have LJ Fort and Tyus Bowser, who are off the charts and playing out of their minds right now for this team." And it's just something that you want to look at and you want to see, and you want to see a guy that's playing that well and have his coaches back him that much.
I would say Garnett. I see your comments. I wouldn't say anybody in this room is putting him ahead of Ozzy now, but he's on that trajectory of like you trust in him every year. That was like the motto in Ozzy. We trust. And he worked under Ozzy for all these years. You know what I mean? Like with the
Ozzy
sample
trusted in EDC. This wasn't random.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
He stuck around long enough because he knew this would be his job when Ozzy walked away, and Ozzy knew that he was leaving the Ravens in good hands.
And got to bring him some rings first. I mean, Ozzy brought us 2 rings in 18 years, 19 years?
It's pretty great.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And EDC has gotten close so far every year versus some of Ozzy's latter years were not the greatest. He wasn't building the greatest teams, right? But he was building for the future. That's what these guys are good at. There's a lot to be said. And yes, do I want a ring? Absolutely. Will a ring cement EDC? Yes, it will. It should. But the point is this is a guy that's coming in and he's putting his own stamp on this. He's taking risks and finding these dives, and getting the most out of some of these guys. There's not very many GMs in the league that can say that they're doing that. EDC is one of them. So it just goes to show you what he's been able to do and what he continues to be able to do. Like I talked about with Rob Ryan.
I love that comment, by the way, D. That is like perfectly summed up.
$8 million for Clowney, $4 million for Ingram, and we get Houston the most productive for $2 million.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's the perfect deal. But Rob Ryan is pressure on Monday. I kind of mentioned that. The other thing he talked about was this linebacker core with Malik Harrison. He actually feels that Malik Harrison is going to make a huge leap this year, along with Patrick Queen. Both guys openly have stated that they wanted to work in this offseason on their pass coverage. And Rob Ryan has said that Malik Harrison has been. He said that he is a big guy. He's able to get in the throwing lane very well. He's looked good in camp so far. He's been impressed with what he's been seeing. Considering that Malik Harrison was kind of the guy like last year, he was, okay, he looks okay, right? Patrick Queen was the big flash. And you expect him to get a little bit better,
more,
but now if you're telling me that we got the potential to have Houston, Oweh, Campbell, Queen, Harrison, Fort behind him, Bowser behind him, like.
Oh yeah, Pernell Brickfee on his third down, where he's like fucking excels.
Like it's one of those things that you got to step back for a second and recognize. We had so many question marks on this defense just 2 years ago. So many. We've overcome almost all of them.
Yeah.
And we've heard that Brandon Stevens at safety is working out great. So they've made all the right moves. Everything is working. But there's one place that's a question mark right now. And it's the one place that none of us thought that we would have a question mark right now.
Because like a few days ago, it wasn't a question mark.
It
actually,
wasn't.
like it just literally after the weekend, it was like, oh shit, there's an issue.
So some fans, some media members are concerned with the Ravens wide receiver core.
Yeah, so Marquise Brown went down on Thursday session.
What's his name?
Marquise Brown, the Riddler, for now.
Hollywood.
This is my thing. I gotta keep it going.
I like that. I like that. That might be the new one right there.
So he went. It might be. So he originally went down with an undisclosed leg injury, and there wasn't really much information. But then in his press conference today, Harbaugh said, "Well, it's initially worse than we thought." Now, worse than we thought could mean, "Oh shit, this is into September," or it could be, "Well, we thought he'd be out here today. Well, he'll be out here on Friday." So it's still a gray area as to what it is.
It is, but the fact that
But it's not good to hear.
The fact that there's no timetable is what concerns people. I don't know that it's a huge concern. Now, if it's the same foot from before, yes, huge concern. Right? Because now he's re-triggered an injury in the same foot.
Well, it's
that could be a problem.
This time,
though. Well, they're worried about it being down the ankle and being a sprained ankle as well. So that's a concern. The issue that you have is if he's pushing it too hard too early, what's going to happen during the season?
Yeah. And that's where sometimes that happens in this month where, I mean, you get an situation like this where you might not see a guy in camp as much now for the rest of the time, but that, you don't, yes, it opens up questions of, is it going to be worse, but that could also be better that he's not pushing it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Time's going to tell.
It sucks to hear, considering
it's early in camp, though. That's what we got to remember. It's early in camp.
Early.
These guys might just be working through some sore muscles. The hamstring, it could be a pull because he wasn't loose enough, right? He wasn't conditioned enough.
Right.
Also, why would you have them out there with any minute injury when your quarterback's not there? You're practicing with backups. You're not developing anything.
And that's been my thing. I mean, we'll get to that later on. That's been my thing with it being the backup quarterback so far with the Lamar situation. Like, yeah, but at least you're getting – that was the competition we've been talking about anyway.
Yeah.
So,
that's
you know what I mean?
a good thing for the team, but I don't know that I'd be pressuring my wide receivers to be out there.
Exactly.
To
his
learn
role's
the
there.
offense through it.
He's not earning a role. His role's there.
Plus, we got the Lizard King. It's going to be fun.
We got the
So one of the things that comes out of this too is – Yesterday, he's back out today, but yesterday,
luckily, it was good
Rashad
news
Bateman
today.
goes down. He's absent from practice. He actually missed some reps late at the stadium practice on Saturday, which, by the way, 23,589 attended.
One of them was Fred Donahue.
One of them was Fred Donahue. He better not be listening. But no,
I don't know, this Be More Tuber showed up right about when Fred disappeared.
yeah, right, exactly. But no, so it's one of those things that it caused concern. Harb said it was just muscle tightness. They're gonna have him take it easy for a few days. He was out there today. They did say the reports from the media are that he was taking a little bit lighter, catching some off the jugs and stuff like that, but not really running a whole lot of routes very hard. So they're letting him take it easy, which is exactly what you need to do. This is
But-
your first round draft pick.
Before this little muscle tightness, our boy, and then granted, this was without pads. He was a little less of a push at the line, but man, he was out here making Marlon look a little silly.
He did. He got over top of
I don't know if
Marlon.
you haven't seen the video, go watch it, because one way or the other, I don't think it's not a dig on Marlon. It's just that much to hype out Bateman and how good he's been looking.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time where we actually have a wide receiver that can get open on his own. He doesn't need speed to or a scheme to get him open. He can get himself open on his own.
Yeah, but the difference on this one is it was a shimmy shake, which Marlon has seen 100 times, but he just straight out beat Marlon. Now, granted, it's early in camp, so Marlon's probably not doing 100% either, right?
It's not like I said.
Marlon's not going hard either,
My
so it's
take
not.
of it still is you weren't in pads and you weren't pushing at the line. And that's what Marlon's known for. And I've seen a little bit on Twitter, and elsewhere with fans kind of
Getting on him,
not saying, not completely thinking Marlon's a wash, but just bringing it up, and I'm like, you're not. He's also doesn't push the line. Like, it's a lot different.
It's also
story.
the first week of practice, and
It's-
these guys are not even going anywhere close to 80%.
And not only that, why not let? Why even that? Even that, I'm not saying
Get this kid's confidence up a little bit.
And I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even saying Marlon did it intentionally. But what's so wrong with the fucking? Maybe your number one wide receiver looking great. Let it look great.
I don't know if you saw. He also took a shot on Baltimore fans too, Marlon. It's like, I don't get why you put Old Bay on everything.
Oh yeah, he was joking about the fact that everybody puts Old Bay on everything because everybody's been telling them to try different things with Old Bay on it, like chocolate and stuff like that. So,
Ryan, did you have something?
Oh, I just want to say you talked about pads. Well, they did put on pads for the first time, and we gave Ben Cleveland a lot of shit for not passing the test here. But what I heard today was that Ben Cleveland looked like a man versus boys out there multiple times, knocking people down, bulldozing things. Now, again, that is going to be a little bit of, hey, Rook, calm down. We're just trying to get paid out here, and he's never done that before. But still, there's a lot of things to say. You can listen with the twos if you want, but he's not going to be with the twos when we
he'll be number one, yeah.
And I don't want to keep the track because I know we were talking about the wide receivers, but another guy that gotten a lot of praise from Bozeman today was Matabike.
Yeah.
Saying that dude is
He's been tough to handle.
He has been impressing a lot of people.
Which, I mean, Bozeman, he was struggling with the snaps, so maybe that was part of it, is he was trying to handle against Matabike, which is good, because if it comes up against that in the regular season, you want him to have that. But back to the wide receiver core, the other thing that was really nice to hear about the fact that of how Rashad Bateman's been doing is Harbs basically said, this kid is impressing and appears to be as advertised, if not better. He is taking his game to the next level, even in camp, even with running routes. He's running crisper routes. He is catching the ball. His hands have been solid. So it's everything that you want to see. It's, when the lights come on, we need to make sure that stays that way. But it's there. Speaking of one guy who doesn't show up when the lights come on.
Here you go, Craig. Zero. Answer your comment.
Miles Boykin walked off on Monday with a medical staff member. Harb said it looked like something with his hamstring. They'll have to see how it is. Who gives a shit, because he's not going to make this team.
Yeah, because
simple as that.
It's simple as that. More than likely, because it gave guys like Prochet and Dion a couple of shots. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing,
give them a couple more looks.
Everybody's talking about Prochet, and I have a question that I legit want to ask you guys on this, because I'm actually torn on it. So I want you guys to try to persuade me one way or the other. Prochet's been shining so far in camp. Been targeted. He was targeted early and often in the Saturday game, or in the Saturday practice. Got separation in the slot. He caught some TD passes on some red zone drills. With Lamar out, he was catching the passes from Trace. That's who he's normally catching the passes from.
Yeah.
So how much of this is just the chemistry between him and Trace, and how much of it is his talent?
And then how much is that blame Lamar for, you know what I mean, for not being there right now? I mean, we're going to get to it eventually anyway. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know what? I get your point. I would get your point more if Lamar
I'm
was
asking
there.
a question. I don't know which way I swing.
No, I got you. I would give I would answer your question is if Lamar was there and Prochet was, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't targeting Prochet in the practice, or Prochet was on the second team, he's on the okay. But I mean, if you're you know what I mean? Like if he was there, then that'd be a different story. But he's not being there. I mean, that's just the quarterbacks that are there.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like he ain't gonna throw the football to himself.
Yeah, but the flip side of this is the fact that he's apparently Trace said that when he was interviewed and talked to him about it, he basically said, "Look, Prochet is the first one every single day out in front of that jugs machine."
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I'll add another name to it for Duvernay. Dude, I like to give those guys a little bit more leeway this year and a more excitement for them this year because you did have that irregular off season. I mean, everyone had that. I get that. Like everyone in the league was dealing with the COVID situation, but still, like just focus on our team. That was two guys that were like, let's see what they could do in their rookie year, where they really get a lot of shot to shine because you weren't having regular camps and practice.
Yeah, you weren't having the regular camps, and that's why I said like that's why I question. Okay, is it the talent and his work ethic? Because work ethic is clearly there from what we're hearing, and he's shining. Is that the chemistry from Trace? Couch, you guys know Trace. You're Penn State fans.
I do know Trace.
Yeah, they look like Penn State fans today.
So is this? Do you think this is the chemistry between Prochet and Trace, or do you think Trace? There is some true ability that's really shining out.
I think it's a little bit of both, but
I agree with that one.
That's like any team that you see, like when a starting quarterback goes down, he always finds a different receiver than the starting quarterback does. That's because he feels comfortable because he's around these guys, and that's how it's always going to be.
Okay, Ryan, any thoughts
About the wide receivers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Boykin's done for completely, and I was holding out hope that maybe him and Lamar could make up, but Lamar's not even there to make up. I want a bigger receiver because we have so many these little fast, quick twitch guys, and that's just not. I want Andre Johnson and Keyshawn Johnson. I want a Johnson out there.
What is it? He wants Johnson out there.
Johnson
He wants to take you outside and rear end you. Jesus.
I don't know.
Is Tyreek Hill over 6 foot?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, he drafted him though.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you look at the way that this wide receiver core is set up on paper, they look good. The injuries, concerning a little bit, especially early in camp. Again, you can say some of it's knocking some of the dust off, some of the rust off, but it's one of those things that you have to kind of wait. And the chemistry between Lamar and Andrews is one of those things that you have to say, okay, is that what's happening with Trace, or is that one of those things that we're going through and we're seeing the issues on their end? Go ahead.
I just want to say I want to get like the people out that are listening to us, and we talked about it. I want to get Ryan's take as well. I feel Marquise Brown is not going to be with the team next year anyways. I don't think he's going to get a contract. He hasn't proved anything, and he hasn't done anything to be on this team to get a contract.
So my call on that would be Marquise Brown doesn't have to do much more than he's already done to get another contract unless you see Prochet take an absolutely huge step in the right direction. Bateman obviously has to be the clear number one. And you have to be able to keep Andrews and all your other wide receiver options happy. So I'm not
Andrews
sure.
going to get paid.
So he's going to get paid by us. He's obviously going to get paid. So if you have 3 other wide receiver options and he wants top 10 wide receiver money, then, yeah, he might not be here, but I don't see any reason that he's going to just be put elsewhere.
I think he's going to be here. You want, I can't even think of his name. You want Marquise Brown to be a top notch just with Bateman. Why can't we have riches like everybody else does? You look at
the Cowboys,
like
do
the Cowboys and the Chiefs. Like,
not everybody.
Why not? We want that. So you want him to do well. I think Prochet will make the team because all you got to do is look at Boykin and say, I don't want to be that guy in a year. Because that's what's going to happen to him.
And that's James, to your point. Like, I think there is some concern with the fact that now it's not just the the struggles, but it's also some of the injury with Marquise, right? We got to see what comes out of this. I think there's chemistry there between him and Lamar. That's the one thing that I would say, like, I'm not so sure. And now that you have Bateman out there and you have Sammy Watkins out there, I think that's going to provide you a little bit more.
They say Watkins looking good too, and he's in a better environment that he's actually can stay healthy. They're saying.
Also, he's a lizard, and he can regrow body parts, according to him on his own Twitter page. He believes that
the Lizard King is alive.
He is a different species from
I think
another
he watched
planet.
Spider-Man too much.
Do you want to see
No,
his
100%
lizard?
this is from his own Twitter page.
He's that whole like lizard people are real type guy. He's
the Kyrie Irving of the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the one thing that you got to look at again with this wide receiver core, you have too many young guys that are able to step up. I mean, you've got, not only are we talking that we have guys like Prochet and Duvernay, but let's look at some of this year's draft picks, like Tylan Wallace, who's been surprising a lot of people and been saying he's been looking good, right? To me, that right there kicks Miles Boykin out of the picture.
Yeah, Tylan Wallace. If he's shining, definitely too.
And that's one of those things that, is who's the next guy off the list, right? Is it, do you give Duvernay a shot? Do you give Prochet a shot? I think there's just too much chemistry with Brown to say that he's gone next year. And if he doesn't perform, I mean, the team's got him. He's got, what, 2 years
Unless
left?
he wants top 10 money, and then we don't have it.
Right,
we
but
already have to pay a tackle.
he's got this year and next year under team control.
So he'll be there at least for that.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't know if they picked up his option yet.
No, they haven't
They
picked up his
said
option,
Lamar.
but it's 4 years automatic.
No, but they already said they picked up Lamar's option.
Why would you not pick up Lamar's option?
Well, I'm just saying compared to Hollywood.
They weren't.
Hollywood
drafted
is
the
not your
same year.
franchise
They weren't
player.
drafted in the same year as a year
Yeah,
later.
they
though.
were.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
It was
The following year.
Yeah, it was Hurst and
and Lamar were the first year.
draft.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
next year
So
was
he's.
Hollywood.
I mean, like what
Yeah.
they said, it would be another year before you're picking up the option anyway.
So Steven Seaver says, I think he can. He is a lizard all he wants. The Ravens
he can
wins is
think
all I
whatever
care
he
about.
wants as long as he's healthy and catches balls.
Yeah.
Even if he uses his tail, I don't care.
Yeah,
Talking about balls, rear ending,
Or his
tail.
yeah, right. It's just all around.
The tongue's a new sticky part.
Oh, good God, here we go.
He's like catching flies.
Anyway, so the other news that came out this week about Lamar, Monday, Louisville Athletic Director Vince Tyra announced during a radio show appearance that Louisville Cardinals will be erecting a statue of 24-year-old Lamar Jackson outside of Cardinal Stadium. It's going to be placed outside the main entrance of the stadium next to former QB and Baltimore legend, the one and only Johnny Unitas, who was there from 1951 to 1954. Lamar afterwards took to social media, appeared to get emotional in his post, being thankful and kind of being in disbelief, asking, like, are y'all serious? Right? Like, he wasn't sure, but he
Kinda
appreciates it.
humble self. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels early, though. I'm not going to lie.
It's a little bit weird to me,
without a
too.
doubt, no matter what Lamar does the rest of his life, that statue was going to happen. But it just feels early. It feels like, hey, we don't have anything to show our football recruits, so let's stick a statue up real quick and we'll remind them how good we were when Lamar was here. Because, like, there was plenty of time to do this. This was going to happen. But it could happen when Lamar won his first Super Bowl or when Lamar, retires or second contract or something or some part of
The timing,
it just feels early.
The timing is suspicious. I agree with that.
Tom Brady doesn't have a statue in Michigan.
Because he didn't barely play in Michigan.
Wait. Let me answer for Ryan. That's because it's fucking Michigan.
That too.
Yeah, I don't know if Tom Brady would even appreciate a statue of Michigan as much as they put him on the bench. That's still part of his chip on the shoulder.
Man. So, it's still pretty cool for this young kid to be so embraced by the community, that he played at. He's embraced by his hometown community. He embraces the community. That's the other big thing, right? This is a 24-year-old that's not going out and doing the things that he's doing because he has to. It's because he wants to. He's the one that had the idea to put up the camp together that he was at, and everybody was giving shit. He was there for the kids. He came back on that whole thing too and doubled down on it and said, we're doing it every year because He says it's for the kids. These kids, he was given a chance, and he wants to give them and show them that you can get out of these struggling communities and make a name, and then come back and make a difference in your own community. We talk about that when it comes to, I haven't experienced it myself, so I can't speak to it, per se, but I can look and say, if a guy's going back there, he's trying to make an impact in his community.
Well,
why are we faulting him for what he's doing?
Yeah, but most likely he'll have his new contract, so he could probably be on the turf by then.
I guess. Whatever you want.
Garnett, I'm not at all saying he doesn't deserve the statue. 1,000%. That he's one of the greatest players to ever play there. And yes, he's done a bunch for the city this other. But Scott just said he's 24. You have kids older than him going to college there. It just feels early. That's all. It's not that it's 100% deserved. It's not like out of bounds at all. It just feels strange that a 24-year-old is getting a statue. I don't know what else there is about that.
Here's my question. Maybe it ends up being rhetorical because then no one can answer. Like, how many colleges really have statues like for a player that played there? I mean, like, and I don't mean like down the line. I mean, like, say, like, while the player's still playing. Like, does Tennessee have a Peyton Manning statue that they put up?
They
and
just put one up last year, I think.
See what I mean?
But
Like,
not many have them.
how long? Like,
Peyton Manning's now being elected to the Hall of Fame, and he finally gets his statue.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe that's too late, just in case the worst happens to somebody. You should recognize them when they're in their prime, but like 24, there's grad students there until 26, 28.
No, and I think, like, I get it, to your point. And that's where I was saying in the suspicious timing, it does seem like, are they doing this as a recruiting technique and say, hey, remember Lamar Jackson? Because this is somebody who's fresh and young.
I don't think so.
He's fresh in young quarterbacks' minds, right? So it makes it impressionable. Look at what he did in our system. Look at what he did for us. And then look at what he's doing in the NFL, right? It's a here and now type situation. I get it. I get what Ryan's saying. I get both sides of this, and I honestly don't know the answer because he is young. It is really early. If he winds up going back and says, I don't like Louisville for whatever reason, something happened. I'm not saying that it would happen, but
oh my God, it's real. Joshua Walker says RG3. And I just checked. RG3 has a statue at Baylor already. What did RG3 do? He got his leg broke. I mean,
well, it doesn't help.
They were an above-average
program. He's a trophy winner.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's a lot. I don't know. There's Heisman Trophy winners at colleges that I can't think of that like.
There's Heisman Trophy winners.
Chris Winkie Chris Winkie probably doesn't have a fucking statue. You know what I mean?
Mark Ingram doesn't have a statue at Alabama.
Joe,
Look, I know the only Heisman Trophy winner at Penn State. I'm 99.9% sure he doesn't even have a statue.
Wait, who is this?
John Cappelletti.
He's the Heisman winner and doesn't have a statue.
He doesn't have one.
And he's the only one.
You know who else
sucks.
You know who else doesn't have a statue at Penn
Joe
State?
Paterno, I get it.
Let me just say,
he got ahead of that.
As Ryan says, if you're going to Louisville or you get the opportunity to go to Maryland, you're going to choose Maryland because of the locker room and the
sick locker room.
Yeah, the sick locker room compared to a Lamar statue outside.
So
that's not going to get anybody there.
Hold on, I'm going to say this.
Louisville's got a statue.
It depends on the player's mentality and the family that they come through.
No one go to a college for a statue.
I know they're not going for a statue.
They'll just go to the game, take a picture with the statue, and go home.
But what they're going to do, right, is think about the here and now, right? You're trying to recruit here and now. What has Maryland done lately as far as putting out top tier players? No offense, Ryan, but you know what I mean by this.
The second best wide receiver in the NFL.
Does he have a statue, Ryan?
No statue. He doesn't have a statue.
No statue.
No statue.
You have a pass rusher too. His boy.
Sean Merriman, yeah.
No statue.
That's not
His
lately.
statue will come with a syringe hanging out.
Question: when is the Fred statue coming? Love it. We got to get Fred a statue. Apparently,
it's not a bad idea.
We'll make it happen.
Well, you have the closest thing. You've got
I'll bring it in. We got our cardboard cutouts from the pandemic season of Terps. Of Terps. I don't know how we just went 4 weeks without bringing.
I was just about to say we totally dropped the ball.
We bring it back next week, and he sits behind it.
But seriously, everyone. Hopefully, Fred doesn't watch this. Keep this in mind. The next time, 8 years from now, he takes a break. The Fred replacement needs to be here.
Oh, jeez. Exciting news for Lamar overall, just as a young player to be, honored in that situation. So kudos to him.
Is his number retired there?
I mean, if they're going to put a statue on, they might as
during
well.
the statue announcement.
Yeah, it'll probably be about the same time. We'll see what happens.
All right. We got some fans out here today. We got 100 comments early in the
Nice.
Ravens thing. So way to go out there, guys, keeping it active. Picking up the slack for our hero Fred that's missing. Mr. Craig Zero, Garnett West, Troy Hayes, Dominic Henson, Nick Short, who says, hell, even the turtle has a statue. Actually, the turtle has 3 statues. And I found out recently there used to only be 1 statue, and it was just big and heavy and not bolted down for years. So it kept getting frequently stolen. And then they bolted it down. So if anyone out there knows anyone with a stolen Testudo statue, your boy's got some pockets and is willing to talk.
Blank check. Blank
I
check.
can own a stolen Terrapin statue. That will 100% be the most I spend on any memorabilia.
Ryan, this is a premeditated felony, just so you know.
Don't care. I've done them before.
Hey, he's got the deck space for it.
I got Seabon Spitler, Steph Hemling, Steph Summers, Jacob Paul, Be More Tuber, Justin Marshall with the comment of the day saying, squirrels are high in cholesterol. the Ben Cleveland fail.
Hey, who was the
Take your
number
word for it.
who was the number 1 in the chat?
Hey, Kaylee says your pockets aren't that deep, by the way.
There might be some hidden Maryland money around here somewhere. Don C says, do you think they'll use edge rushers to fill in for our lack of interior pressure on the defensive line? I don't think that's out of the question. I think that we're very creative on defense. I also think that this reminds me of that Eagles Super Bowl team that just had the rotating door of pass rushers and linemen. They just stayed fresh. They had no stars, but everyone was above average, and that's just how this feels.
Let's also not forget Calais Campbell is versatile. Calais Campbell can move to the inside. We used him a lot more on the outside last season, but now that you have other guys and you're bringing in Justin Houston, you've got Matabuike who's been playing well. You have a lot of options here. You could move Calais and B. Will on the inside and do some serious damage.
Yeah, the way I look at it, just a last little, the way I look at it is, it isn't like bringing in Houston was unnecessary. Like, there's going to be a good reason why he's here.
Oh, absolutely.
It'll show up.
Yeah, for sure.
Then I got Mr. Chandler, Troy H., Adit Mahood, and I got another comment here. Garnett West says, unless Ryan's working for the feds. Technically, yeah.
Technically.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. Oh, man. All right. You want to kick us off with some bros, bows, and O's?
Yeah, why not? Because it's been a decent All-Star break, decent season after the All-Star break. Before the All-Star break, let's not remember May. Let's forget May even happened. Let's focus on what happened in the All-Star break. They're 10-6 since the All-Star break. It's just been, what they have a game where they have a handful of home runs to go with some small ball. We'll have a game where it is just small ball. We'll have a game where, we'll get to start pitching eventually. The start pitching's been much better the last handful of games. Yeah. And beyond. So some
exciting stuff this over this past really week has been happening too.
Yeah, and it goes back to I texted in our group thing after it was either the second game or the third game of the Washington series. Watching some of that and seeing some of the highlights and seeing the stats, that it felt like a little bit of magic, that Orioles magic that you're used to. I'm not saying that it's there yet. I know we're still a ways away, but it was cool just to see, you literally, you cost the whole team. You beat a team so badly. They were like, we're just going to give away all our players.
Yeah.
We're just going to give away. We're rebuilding because apparently it pays to rebuild.
Yeah, I guess so. We're going to get into that in a little while, but some other exciting stuff, right? Exciting but sad at the same time.
Yeah.
This past weekend, 1 year anniversary of Mo Gaba's death. He was honored by the Orioles. Sanzi, his mother, threw out the first pitch. Very emotional. Threw it out to Trey, who was back there. Both of them have a lot of emotions. Emotions and adrenaline were clearly running high as Trey homered for him later on.
Wearing her fuck cancer shirt. And I think very cool the O's let her wear the fuck cancer shirt.
Yeah, they could have easily said, well, let's put this jersey on instead. It's a good point.
Yeah, they let her wear it and, gave her the black Mogaba shirt jersey as well. So just great to kind of really see that. And he pointed to Sanzi after he hit the home run. And it was it was a very emotional moment. She was, she smiled and kind of, you get to see her kind of starting to well up a little bit. Amazing woman that took care of an amazing kid and raised an amazing child. It's really great for the Orioles to honor him, 1 year later, and he's going to be honored.
I was just about to say, speaking
too.
of, let's remember, I think it's Saturday is the Hall of Fame, Orioles Hall of Fame game, and he'll be honored in the Orioles Hall of Fame.
And they're going to have,
well deserved.
I forget who it was, they're putting together a Mo section out in center field.
Yeah.
Pickles did something too.
Pickles did, yeah. So just great all around.
Really cool. Everything.
Yeah. The other thing was cool, last night's Yankees game.
Awesome.
A little Yankee spanky.
Yeah.
I always love a Yankee spanky.
Mullins and Hayes back-to-back in the third.
Back. I mean, Mount Castles looked amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even Urias, we'll get to him later, too. Urias hit a home run. It was just cool. I mean, like I just said, it just feels like it's a little bit of magic that you weren't feeling in May or early June. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a bad team, you're not supposed, we already know that. But just to have that little magic here and there.
You get some sparks, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what it takes. You get some of these sparks that you see well. You have Harvey who did well, Lopez looking pretty good at times. They win 7-1 against the Yankees last night. The cat loose on the field in the bottom of the eighth. Them running around is a goddamn spectacle with that.
Ryan?
For the dumb baseball fan, I got a question. So
for the dumb baseball fan, you mean for you?
Yeah, me.
Okay. Just clarity, people.
Since it's the only sport in the world that has their draft mid-season, how does this work? Now that you're post-draft and we're winning, does this hurt us towards the next draft, or does that not start until the beginning of next season?
No. So
to you, go.
No, go. So let's just say the way it looks. I mean, it could change. Obviously, Arizona looks like they're the number one because they'll probably have the worst record. So whatever record however the season ends, that's the record for the draft for next year.
That's the order for the draft.
Yeah. Okay, so it is season total for this year. So this could still drop us from number 2 to number.
I can't see us being any worse than 2.
Yeah,
we're number 3 already.
We are.
We've
moved it. We moved to 3. No, we did move to 3. But it's also the fact that
it's baseball and
there's a lot of guys look at this year's draft.
Don't know.
This year's draft, nobody knew who was usually it's 1, 2, 3 you kind of see usually locked in. This past year, 1 was locked in. Nobody 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they were all literally a flip of the coin. What you could go any which way. It's whatever your organization needs.
And we'll get to that number 10 pick later.
We're going to get to that in a little bit. But it does it hurt you? Yes, but there's so many question marks with this year's draft with next year's draft already.
I think my question was just, did they take off the sandbagging because now it didn't hurt them? But
no, it has nothing to do with it.
No,
I think it literally just has to do with there's a little situation where it's like Urias has really stepped up. There's guys that have stepped up that were more playing once or twice a week. Or where you solidify a situation. You had Hayes, you still always worried about him being injured, but he's been healthy the last month or so.
He made a hell of a catch last night.
And he he shores up an outfield spot. It just sometimes it's such a long season.
Oh, you mean we don't have DJ Stewart out there?
Well, they're still throwing him out there for no fucking reason. Well,
I hate that shit.
We'll go off on a tangent.
10-6, so we finally brought up all the Bay Sox. No, not yet, but we still know it.
Not quite
We're
yet.
bringing up the Tides because we got nobody else. We don't want to bring up the Bay Sox.
We don't want to bring up the good ones.
But no, so the other thing that I thought was just interesting, you mentioned the trades and the Cubs getting rid of everybody. Obviously, Rizzo going to the Yankees. You had Bryant go to the Giants. You had Baez go to the Mets. Each of them hit a home run in their debut.
Yeah, that was
which is crazy.
It's so crazy.
The chances of that are astronomical from what everybody was saying. It's for these guys to go and then make that immediate of an impact. Rizzo got his home debut last night against the Orioles. Luckily, to our favor, the biggest story out of him was he got hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
Which it's Rizzo.
Yeah, Gallo got traded there. He didn't do anything last night.
Yeah, he did have a good. I'll give him credit. He did have a good catch.
Yeah,
Gallo looks fucking weird with no facial hair.
Yeah, that's the weird thing with
No
the Yankees.
facial hair.
Yankees, you can come in with a fucking beard. No, you're shaving that shit because you got traded here. Fuck off. I got traded. I didn't want to come here.
Yeah, exactly. But no, so it's crazy to see some of these guys in new uniforms. I am a little excited to see Rizzo a little more.
I've always liked him.
I like him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good ambassador for the sport. Just because he's great with fans. I love the spring training interviews that him and Bryant used to give. They're live on the field. They're talking to each other, giving each other shit. It's
Last
awesome.
night I seen the most Italian flags at Yankee Stadium because of Rizzo.
Oh, they'll
Really?
be booing him in a week.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But yeah, no, it's just crazy to see his debut and have the Orioles be a part of
Get
that.
back to it. A part of what you were saying, Ryan. A big to do with lately has just been the starting pitching too. The starting pitching being a whole lot better.
Yeah,
I mean, compared to when they were.
this rotation's been pretty good recently.
So
you were looking at some of the numbers.
Yeah,
of it too.
so they had. I mean, in the last 14 games, they've gone 6 innings 7 times. That's a quality start for the most part. So that's going, and then in those games, it's 7-0. So there's been 1 earned or less in those 14 games. Starter ERA in that span is a 3.96 span, and that's pretty goddamn good for the Orioles.
I would say that's pretty good for the Orioles. It's average.
It's average
It's
for
league
some
average
of the
for the rest
but
of the rest of this.
it's kind of one of the guys that have been doing it because all of a sudden Matt Harvey looks like goddamn second coming again. You've gotten Means back, and he's been touched up a little bit, but he's gone 6 innings a couple times. And Lopez and Watkins has kind of had a little bit of the hiccups. Even on Sunday's game, he gave up 4 runs, but then that was kind of early.
Well, I mean,
and
you just bring him up. He's had what, 2 starts at this point? Or is
this
it
was
3?
his 4th start.
Was it his 4th?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
only
his
his
4th
third.
start because the first
Okay.
it was like 16, only 1 run given up in the first 16 innings. You've seen better
He's
starting.
he's not. He's also. This isn't a top tier. Let's paint the
You're
picture.
still
He's
trying
not
to
a
figure
top-tier
out what you
guy.
have to get you to that gap.
Exactly.
But that's been my point. That was my point. Is the starting pitching's been a whole lot better than it.
Yeah,
it was.
Well, it was surprising because there was jokes going around. Means or Harvey could wind up going somewhere. Lopez, if he could go somewhere and get past the 5th inning, it would be great.
Hey, he went 6 last night.
He went 6. But so the trade deadline came and went Friday at 4 p.m. It was the trade deadline. We saw right-handed pitcher Sean Armstrong go to the Rays for cash considerations.
You see a picture of cash considerations right there in the background.
Right? Exactly.
That's our new player cash considerations.
That's the best cash ever.
Exactly. He's got some
So
legs.
I was
I like
so
it.
glad. Look, as you count me as one guy, I was glad. Oh, you got whatever for him. Doesn't fucking matter. It's gone.
I got $1.
Little secret for the fans. I've been doing the photos last few weeks. I literally text Scott and said, if you change my Orioles photo, I quit the
And
show.
now I know why.
No. So I mean, that one. It's for everybody that's like freaking out that it's cash considerations. It's probably going to be international slot money.
Yeah, it could turn into that, and which is good because they're getting into the international market.
Right, exactly. You're building the facility. You want to have this happen, so why not go ahead and start getting some of these guys, in your system now? The other trade that we saw, Freddie Galvis goes to the Phillies for right-handed pitcher Tyler Birch. Birch was in high A ball at Jersey Shore. So taking a listen to this, 2.45 ERA and a 42.9% strikeout rate.
Which with an organization that already kind of has high strikeout rates down there in the farm,
Yeah. I mean, this
Good to see.
guy, it's I get it's high A ball. I get that it's high A ball, but you got this for a guy that wasn't really making a splash with us. He had some sparks here and there. He was showing flashes in the pan, but he wasn't consistent. Somebody's looking for him as a depth
he
piece
was
for a
doing
run.
all right. He got hurt then, but by the time he's coming off the IL anyway, Urias has been doing pretty good. So it's kind of like you're losing a spot anyway.
I think Tyler's probably pissed that he got traded.
Tyler Birch?
Yeah, be in New Jersey by the shore.
maybe.
It's a short trip up though.
Maybe. Well, he's what he would be. We're probably putting him in Aberdeen at this point.
He can go hang out at Rehoboth. That's
He can go hang out. He can hang out here, right? I mean,
Yeah, come on in.
It's right up the road.
Birdland BS, buddy. Come
But
on.
again, this guy, his walk rate 4.8%. That's low as shit, right? And this is through 11 innings pitched in high A level, so it's a small sample size. 49 Ks in 29 and a third innings pitched total this year between low A and high A. That's pretty fucking good.
And look,
2 strikeouts every fucking inning? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, James.
I just want to say I learned something new today. Joe told me that we actually paid Galvis to go.
Paid him
They wait-
$250,000.
Oh, he had a bonus. Yeah, he had a bonus.
money.
He had a
Couple of the
bonus
guys did.
incentive.
He's not playing against us. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
got-
saying, that's amazing.
He
Like,
had
hey,
an
buddy,
incentive in
can
his
you-
contract that if he got traded, I knew about that.
Haven't you ever seen Moneyball?
Yeah, I have. But
Okay,
I'm
they
just
pay.
saying, that's-
Can we
The
trade
Yankees
James
did it.
for
I'm just-
$250K?
I'm just saying, for like an Oriole player,
Yes.
no one should
Done.
have a trade.
And I need some
No one
money.
should have trade money at all.
Split that evenly.
Yeah, right. Oh man. But the other thing is, it sounded like a few teams were knocking on the door for some other guys. Obviously these were the only 2 moves. People were saying, well, were they knocking on the door for Means or Mancini or even Mullins? And there apparently was some interest. But the team really wasn't willing to part with them, and it was going to take an astronomical amount for them. Elias at the deadline, here's what he had to say. We were very mindful that a lot of our best players that were in demand were players that were not pending free agents with the Orioles. They're players that are young and talented, and we like and have future years with this club and project to be a part of this club when we hope to be a playoff contender. When asked specifically about John Means and Cedric Mullins, he said, pretty confident that we weren't going to get very serious in talks with those players. We're very, very impressed by what those guys are doing, and they're here for a long time, and they play positions that are not easy to find guys to do what they do. This is not a priority for us to look at these opportunities. Love that. Yeah, exactly.
I love it too.
Love the response that you're getting out of your GM. But with that being said, surprised that more moves weren't made?
Actually not.
Okay.
The only moves that to me that could have been made and that you were really even hearing about in the last few days before the deadline were Fry and Aiken. Scott.
Tanner Scott, yeah.
Yeah, just Aiken.
Not Aiken.
Not Aiken. Might get cash considerations for him next year, though.
Might get Gary.
Never fucking know. No, okay. So, yeah, Scott. And, yeah, those guys have been decent, and they've been pretty good in the bullpen. But there's also kind of like they have so much control. You know what I mean? Like that control is too precious for when you're a team in the Orioles position, and it'll bring me back to Mancini eventually. Whereas, yeah, they look good, but next year they could look fantastic.
Yeah.
And they could be better trade than they could go the other way. Yes, but I choose to be positive in this scenario. You still have control of those guys. So if they're doing good in the bullpen now, and it continues, they'll be even better in the bullpen next year. Now, that either starts to get you over the hump with those guys in the bullpen, or you still find out that you're
it's
another year or two away. It's a
stopgap.
bridge, and they're tradable for better talent than you would have gotten them for them now.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you have to look at overall, right? Is that I asked you a loaded question because I felt like I was surprised to see Galvis go. I didn't know anybody had any interest in Galvis.
It was surprised, but I didn't.
I wasn't upset about
Yeah,
it. Like,
no,
I'm not gonna
no
lie about
way,
that.
yeah.
But I didn't anticipate him going anywhere
Yeah.
because he had sparks, but he wasn't consistent. He had the injury coming back. I was just surprised.
I mean, that was literally probably only because the team.
The Sean
he came
Armstrong,
from the Phillies.
you wish the kid the best of luck, but you hope it's that scenario for the Rays that he comes out
Yeah.
and says, all right, this is not an Arrieta type situation, but a situation where he goes and succeeds. I just don't think he's a quality pitcher. I think he was a stopgap. I think he's under there. He's probably going to last. I don't know. I'll say 2 months. I don't think he's going to last very long before he gets sent down before they release.
So I'll get back to the heavy names. With a guy like me, I didn't think Means was going anywhere because he's still kind of coming back from the injury and much more control than he had for Mancini. Mullins had even the most control out of those three, and I'm sorry, you're not giving him away unless you're getting like a team's top 3 prospects. It's not happening. You know what I mean? Like something like that. It wasn't happening. So
I think he's got 2 more years of team control too.
so basically, it would come down to Mancini for anybody, and that was the only thing we ever.
Santander was the other one, but he's
Santander with the injury stuff. So really the main name to focus on would be Mancini. And that was what we had talked about on the show a handful of times. I mean, I think we all were kind of prepared maybe like if he's gone, let's see what the return is. It kind of feels
it better
inevitable.
be good, yeah.
When the deadline passes and he doesn't sign, doesn't get traded, that makes me feel a little bit better that this is a guy that wants to. He's already said it anyway as much. I won't say for verbatim. He said, I wasn't surprised that I wasn't traded, and I'm glad that I wasn't traded. So that to me sounds like a guy that's going to sign eventually. And it's not like he's not going to command some like 5-year, $160 million deal. It could be something like what
80.
Adam Jones did in 2012, where next year, come May or June, they agree to a contract for like 80, 85.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Here's what I see
that.
with Mancini. I see Mancini being a mix of Jones and Markakis of what they mean, what they meant to this organization. I think that's what he means to this organization. And I think there's an investment from the team saying, you know what, we're going to stand behind you. It would have to take something crazy for us to separate from you. And clearly, crazy wasn't presented to them, and they're not willing to do anything more. So it's really good to see. You're glad that they're not trading those pieces, because these are pieces that we've talked about, to your point, at nauseum about these guys can be your future. You have some of your players that can be here. But the other thing this tells me, we might be a little closer than we originally thought.
And I know I'll speak for Fred, since I know Fred does that a lot more. Mm-hmm. He's kind of almost been the vocal guy amongst our group to saying, like, it doesn't feel like we're that far away.
Yeah, it
looks bleak. Yeah, the current situation is bleak in the main club, but
we've had the discussions. We've had the discussions of 3 years, and I think what this starts to tell you is there's a possibility that we're looking at 2.
Yeah.
Right. That we're looking at 2 years, because you can't keep these guys down in Bowie forever.
Yeah.
You can't.
And even so the guys that you might not necessarily want to start the clock on, you're going to end up pushing them up eventually, because then this year's class is coming up soon enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like by next year, a lot of those guys that are like the Westberg or the Henderson, they're going to be up.
And that's the thing, right? So let's take a look down on the farm real quick, and then we're going to move on, right? You've got a lot of these names that are making their way up. At some point, you're going to have to make a decision on some of these guys, especially the guys that are in Bowie. Norfolk, as far as I'm concerned, for the most part, Norfolk is your 4A team.
Yeah.
Right? It's your team that they aren't quite major leaguers on a consistent basis. They're never making a splash. These are the guys that you need them to work on a little bit more. A lot of the guys in Bowie right now are guys that are almost major league ready. Almost. There's parts of their games that they need to work on. But you can't keep them there forever, because you got places like Aberdeen where you got Bowman, Bradish, Smith, Jones. Norfolk. You got Bowman, Bradish, Smith, Jones. So you don't want to bring up too many more of those guys, because that stops you from doing your whole taxi.
Yeah.
Right? And having a taxi squad. So in Bowie, Stowers, Rom,
Outfielder.
Selleck. Aberdeen, you got Westberg.
Henderson.
We forgot to mention at Bowie, you also have Adley, Grayson.
Yeah.
Right?
DL
Hall, who got shut down this past week.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, no surgeries.
Right. And then you got Delmarva, you got Carmona, who's doing really well. And then your boy, Colton Cowser.
I'm good. Look.
Gulf Coast League.
There's a lot of Orioles fans, and I don't know about listeners of this show. There's a lot of Orioles fans that were very hypercritical of the signing. I'm not saying the guy's going to come out and be some fucking like Trout. I'm not going to be stupid and say that. But I like what I've seen from Colton Cowser in some of his the pre-draft stuff. It's a college bat. It's arguably one of the best college bats coming out of the league. You got it for cheaper, and everyone wanted to make the big deal about that. But I think you need to give the guy some credit that he played for Team USA. He played for when you play in those leagues, you're hitting with baseball bats. Wooden baseball bats. Yeah. Some of these other college players aren't even used to, and you've looked good, and you've been touted as maybe the best college bat to come out. Then he started this. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. He started down in the Florida Coast League,
the Gulf Coast League. Yeah,
single in the first at bat,
home
run in the second at bat. Yes, you're facing players unknown just as much as you are. I'm just saying, I'm putting the stamp on the guy.
He's showing that
watch out for him. I think fans are going to just automatically write him off, or be so worried about a Kerstead thing, which still give that guy some credit. Let's see what happens down the road. But I think everyone's going to be so hung up on being the under slot guy and not realize like the guy's more ready than some other players would be.
Yeah, I mean, the under slot thing, over slot thing, like, look at it this way. We got value out of this kid because nobody else believed in his bat as much as we did. And we said, you know what? We're going to do it, but we're going to, this is where we want to be. This is where we need to be. And you're going to be a part of something quickly.
Yeah, and they haven't hidden like it. You can go by looking at their like MO lately. They go for college bats, high-end college bats, so they're ready sooner, and that's what makes you think it's not 3-4 years away. No,
some of these guys,
it can start looking a lot better next year, and then the second year, boom.
Some of these guys in Delmarva in the Gulf Coast League, yes, they are probably 3 years.
But that's the point.
But they are coming up when the rest of your team is on a streak, and you go, hey, we just need one more piece. But we don't have to pay for it because it's right here.
Yeah.
Covet what you already have. And the other thing is that, long term, some of these guys, unfortunately, by stacking your situation the way you are,
can get traded.
They can become trade bait and wind up helping you later on. Do we want to see all these guys at the major league level on our team? Absolutely. But it's the business, right? It's a business. There are some of these guys, a Norby or a Mayo, right, that have been flashing as well down that Gulf Coast League. These are guys that could wind up being trade bait later.
Yeah.
Because we need that one piece, and they're not it. Because they're not the position player that we need. Mm-hmm. They're not the pitcher that we need to get us over that hump. There's a lot of things at play here. So exciting to kind of see that the future is down there. I'm as the title says, it's a bunch of happy campers, right? Yeah. I am happy with where we are. Everything, pretty much every level, major league level, it's hit or miss. We didn't expect much more. So the fact they're doing well, it's exciting. I'm not hanging my hat on it going, they're going to win, go more than 500 the rest of the season.
Yeah. I'm
not doing that, but I'm excited to see that they're doing well, right? I mean, we talked about the numbers. So it's good to see these guys coming up. And like we said, you may see some of these guys and you may see competition out of the Orioles a little sooner than a lot more people anticipated.
We'll help you get assimilated to these names.
All right, it is time for this week's Liquor Stop Brew of the Week. And this week we have from Mully's Brewery and Other Half Brewing. So if you aren't familiar with Other Half Brewing, they're actually one of the top breweries in the nation right now. They've been named it, I think, like 3 years in a row from what Jerry was telling me. They have partnered with a bunch of breweries around the country and around the world to make this brew called All Together. It is a 7.4% ABV IPA, and it's, again, called called All Together from Other Half and Mully's Brewery. Mully's is out of Frederick, so local tie here. But the cool part about this, it's an IPA. It's a little strong on the hoppy side. So if you don't like strong hoppy IPAs, not the beer for you. It's a sipping beer, even though it's only 7.4. It is a sipping beer. It's not something you're going to sit here and pound. But I love the cutout from this that they put out on their website. A worldwide collaboration hosted by Other Half, Stout Collective, and Craft Peak to support the enormous amount of hospitality workers laid off during this difficult time. We are donating 100% of the proceeds to the Restaurant Workers Community Foundation. They brewed the recipe with 2-row oats, Capital hops, and a beautiful blend of Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, and Cascade hops. They intentionally kept the recipe simple so that every brewer could follow it, and keep an eye out for versions from over 500 breweries. You can visit alltogether.beer for the details and the list of breweries involved. So even if you're not here in Maryland, you may not be able to get the Mully's Brewery version, but you can get a local version. Again, over 500 breweries to check out, and some of them. Other Half is actually out of Rochester. They have like 2 in New York, but they've got the one in DC, and they also have this partnership with Frederick now as well. So great story, great to see. I got to point out this one because I also picked this up while we're here, and I actually really like it. I didn't think I would, but it intrigued me. It's from Pulpit Rock Brewing Company called Untitled Art. This is Strawberry Shortcake Imperial Seltzer. I didn't think I was going to like this. This thing's pretty good, and it's dangerous. Did you see the ABV on this?
No, because I was too busy spilling it all over the place.
Yeah, you
might as well go inside on you guys.
You did spill it.
It does taste good. I did spill like half of it.
9%, by the way.
It was pretty good. Though. I don't drink that kind of beer.
The carpet is fucked up.
Yeah. But make sure you go up to Liquor Stop. Yeah, go up to Liquor Stop, 1510 Conowingo Road. Tell them Birdland BS sent you. Get your 10% off. Sure. So if you guys didn't catch it, Ryan was so excited that we're back to Terps news this week that he just jumped straight over the Brew of the Week because he needed to get the Terps button in there. He had to hit the Terps button.
I was hoping you didn't notice.
I noticed. I noticed.
Fat fingers and shit.
I tried to tell the story. You got excited. You've already been wanting to plow his backside. I don't know what else he's doing over there. So
it's not quite what I said. You made it worse.
You know what I like?
That's what you said.
Hey, you know what I like about this segment? Finally, I get a piss break.
I was saying, I'm
I haven't had my normal piss break in a long time.
Yeah, he's gonna have to just flip between me and him. All right, so kick us off some big news. We talked about it, alluded about it to the beginning of the show. Some big news out of football.
Yeah, I mean, it's, camp starts on Friday, so it's no huge news right now, but what they did talk about is, we had some huge outbreaks last year with COVID. A lot of schools dealt with it, but ours was one of the worst.
Pretty bad.
We had like 30 people out, including starting quarterback and wide receivers, and basically everyone of important.
How many games did we cancel last year?
We canceled three games. We ended up, 3 and 4, and it was supposed to be 8 games, so maybe 2 games. Only canceled 2 games.
Yeah, because there was the Big Ten
playoff.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, we had 95% reported vaccine rate, just as a press conference that came out. And 100% is going to be for the coaches. Basically, the school's requiring everyone to be vaccinated to take classes on campus.
Right.
So if you were staff teaching on campus without a religious or medical exemption, you're getting vaccinated, and they're already at 95%. So there aren't a lot of people out there trying to get letters and get out of it.
So is that 95 for clarity? Is that 95% for the school or 95% for the football team?
That's the 95 is for the football team.
Okay,
that was the number they put out there, and it was an estimation, but it shows
it's
you
still
that
pretty damn good.
There's great majority of our players are getting vaccinated and will hopefully slow down. Of course, the vaccination is not stopping anybody from getting COVID, but it is stopping people from going to the hospital, and it's stopping people from dying, and it also makes your isolation period a lot less of a requirement. So that's the good thing. We obviously still have to be have some precautions, especially during the season, but it's a good thing to see. Some of the news they added on the football side is some future things. Pretty cool. We're increasing our non-Big Ten schedule. We got another matchup with University of Central Florida Knights set up. We set up a home-and-home with them. We did lose the last one. It was looking pretty good for us. And then Kasim Hill blew out his knee, and that was about the end of that game. They pretty much steamrolled us from there because the next quarterback hadn't had a single rep.
UCF has been doing pretty good the past few years.
UCF is one of those programs that came out of nowhere. They're using that Florida weather and became a powerhouse out of, just existing in Orlando.
Yeah.
So 2025, they're playing in College Park. 2028, I'll be going to Disney and a UCF game.
Oh,
so
right.
I will
there's
go
that
with you.
plan.
I will have to go with
Drew's
you.
on board.
I don't care about the game. I'm going to Disney. Nah, I care about both.
Yeah. All right. And on the basketball side, we've had some big stuff. Wiggins got drafted by OKC in the second round. So he wasn't 100% off base staying in the NBA draft. Didn't have to see him shipped off to Europe.
Were you surprised to see him go in the second round? Because I felt like you said that you felt like he should have been later, or you thought he was going to go later than that. So were you surprised second round?
I wasn't. I mean, if he was going to go, it was going to be in the second round. So I can't say I was surprised. Late, he started getting a run. Once he stayed in, they started having a lot more people signing him up for workouts, things like that. So, it's some guaranteed money with the name, image, likeness. I still think it was an interesting decision because he could have been the franchise face on a top 5 squad, and instead of D-League. But it's not all about money. Sometimes these kids do want to make money for basketball. He is clearly going to do that in the NBA, but also just the straight goal of I made it to the NBA. If that's been your thing the whole time, and that you have this like lockdown offer, like 2 teams told me, no matter what, you're there in the second round, we're taking you. Then I mean, you take that option. And there's going to be other ways to make money on your name and training skills or whatever you want with basketball or playing in Europe. There's plenty of guys making plenty good money over in Europe. It's a weird lifestyle. You're hotel hopping, doing things. Some people really like that lifestyle. I worked with a mom of one of the kids who told me all about it. It is some strange stuff over there, but
Lonzo went over there, made some money, made a name for himself, and then came back to the NBA. So it works out. And Sherry, it's 95% of the Terps football squad is what he's talking about. We're on the Terps segment. I know you're coming in a little late, so.
Yeah, no, not the NFL. The NFL is a whole nother weapon. I think it's like 30%.
Yeah, it's way lower than that.
If you ask Minnesota, they're not happy.
Don't talk to Minnesota or Washington.
But Bruno Fernando, fan favorite of the Terps.
Yeah.
He's been playing in the Atlanta Terps down there, where we had, we had multiple players on the team. At one point, you had Alex Len, Bruno, and Red Velvet all playing down there together. But he's been traded in a three-way trade. The Celtics sent Tristan Thompson to Sacramento Kings. The Kings sent Delon Wright to Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks traded Chris Dunn, Bruno, and a 23rd second-round pick to the Celtics. So basically 3 second-round picks to the Celtics. So it's kind of good because he's been kind of buried. I mean, Clint Capella came out of nowhere for me. I mean, that guy is way more talented than I ever knew watching him in this NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
He is like the version of what Bruno could be at like his ceiling is Clint Capella currently. So he was kind of buried there. And then you got the Danilo Gallinari, who's also a really talented big man, so shoots well from the outside. So I'll be happy to see him get a fresh start with the Celtics.
Yeah, I think they're looking to obviously rebuild and try to go, with the young guys. So that works in his favor, and he might get some more playing time. Obviously, not getting as much for the Hawks. So, excited to see it. It's sad to see the breakup down there, right? The Terps breakup. But you know what? He had a chance. He had a run with them, but he wasn't a huge part of it. So maybe this will be something that he can kind of go make a name for himself in an organization that's a top-tier organization as far as most people are concerned. Yeah, and hopefully he learned some things from that playoff run. Alex Len, who, again, used to be on the Atlanta Hawks, was playing for the Washington Wizards. He's the former Maryland standout, is now back with the Sacramento Kings. This guy's kind of a mercenary. He's been making good money, but he's been making it on one-year contracts. He's going around the league signing for $2 and $3 million year after year after year, just random teams. So the 7'1" center spent last season with the Wizards, who signed him in January, averaging 7.1 points, 4.4 rebounds in 16 minutes, a career high 61.9% shooting percentage. So he's definitely earning his money and still a relevant NBA backup. Do you think he could go over to the European League and make even more money? He probably could. I think that because he's Ukrainian, isn't he? Yeah, he would be a dominant player at a lot of European teams, but he just seems to be a little guy that wants, this is a really good living, and he's playing the NBA. He gets to see the country. It's a lot more.
Keep making $3 million a year. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Depending on the league, there are plenty of very nice leagues in Europe, but there are also the leagues where you go make money and you're going from like weird gym to gym ran by sultans. You don't know what's going on. There's bombings outside. Like the NBA is a lot more controlled setting.
This is
if
true.
You can make $2 million a year, just chill here. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'll go back to Sacramento for that shit.
Well, I know that obviously this is it seems to be the week of the big man, right? Because you see the Bruno trade, the Alex Len trade, and then good old Sticks decided to make a debut.
Yeah, Sticks came back in town. He made an appearance because the Maryland basketball team is now back practicing. We're less than 100 days out for basketball, which feels weird since we're still like 40 days away from NFL football. How are we already in college basketball season? But we are, so they're out practicing again. And he was there with the team, chalking up with the coach. It's just good to see that the coach has these relationships with these NBA players that continue, that they want to be around the program. Number one, you got NBA money around there. If some of these guys do really well, that might be able to bring back the program. Number two, having NBA guys hanging out around practice is always good for recruits.
Now with name, image, likeness, that's another big thing.
Yeah.
Like they do educate a little more in the NFL, or agents help you so they can pass some of that knowledge along.
A lot of these guys are differentiating their money. Like they have this NBA money, but they're also opening up different businesses, or they're investing. We got LeBron with the Blaze Pizza, all that kind of stuff that he was involved with. So it's not just basketball money anymore. They could very easily be sponsoring some of these kids for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then on the basketball side, we did fill out our last scholarship. We got a transfer, Xavier Green. That is the final roster spot for our Terps, so they are filled out. Green spent the last 5 seasons at Old Dominion, so we got an old head on our team. I feel like we're Indiana or something with our 34-year-old white dudes hanging around. But he spent 5 seasons at Old Dominion because we're redshirt season, and now he gets a 6th season with COVID, and he wants to come play for the Terps.
Name, image, likeness. That's what this is.
Why not? He's a durable 6'6", 200-pound guard from Williamsburg, Virginia. He had appeared in 121 of a possible 122 games in his 5 years and had 90 starts, averaging, this is the big one, 30 and a half minutes a game. That's some minutes he was eating up down there.
Where do I know his name? Did he like succeed really well in one of the NCAA tournaments recently?
It was right before the NCAA tournament. So he made a big splash in the Conference USA tournament, averaging 16 points, 46% from shooting behind the arc, which gave Old Dominion their first NCAA tournament bid.
Okay, so maybe that's why I hear his name.
It was big news. Because they're not a very successful program in the history, and he kind of put them on the mark with that run that he had there. Those are not his numbers for a 5-year career. He's more of very average on the offensive side of the ball, 30% from 3, 38% from the field, those kind of, average numbers. But that's not what he's here for. He's here to be a Daryl Morcell replacement. This guy was the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. And that's what he hangs his hat on. He does have a little bit more of the offensive side, or he did at that level. So maybe you could say could help with a little bit of the Wiggins replacement. He's not going to replace Wiggins.
No.
But just some of the, like we said, no one's replacing Wiggins on this squad. But you might get people stepping up from all directions that could replace that.
Yeah, it takes a little bit. I guess he's going to take a little bit of pressure off some guys. He's the concern that I would have is does it translate to Big Ten play? Right?
Yeah, that's the big thing.
That's the big question mark.
He was the best defender in that conference. Even if it makes him a top 10 defender in the Big Ten, great. That'd be a huge step. The last Shell and Tell, we were talking with Ahmed and Fred, and I said that my biggest worry was defense on this squad. That was what stressed me out the most, which feels weird because as a Maryland Terrapins basketball fan, for years they have been dominant on the defensive end of the ball.
Especially last year.
Yeah, especially last year. But last year they had Daryl Morcell, the top defender in the Big Ten, and they had Aaron Wiggins, who was one of the longer guards and could really shut down people, even with his inconsistent offensive play, which is why we thought maybe it's a stretch going to NBA. Defensively, that man showed up every game, and it really, he had the right body type for it, and he was just a mismatch for some of these smaller guards. So I got to the point where, when Wiggins left, I looked back at Daryl Morcell leaving and was like, that hurts more now.
Yeah.
It was not just that Wiggins left, but, I quickly was moving past Daryl. We'll be okay. We can get it. But then with losing both, I'm like, that's a lot of defense gone. This guy will help alleviate a lot of that, not all of it. He's not going to replace both those guys, but to bring in a defensive specialist, a little bit of size too, 6'6", 200,
and the experience.
He could play a little small forward for this team. He's not too much smaller than Dante Scott, who's basically your backup center at this point. So, and one of the things in his quote was that the coach wants me to get a little bit bigger so I can play that power forward role a little bit more for him. So with Kyle Tarps can have him in the weight room. They're going to get him on some heavy nutrition and see what we can do.
So do you think this guy comes in and he's immediate starter on this roster?
No, but I think he will play significant minutes. I don't think that we have had.
Who's he splitting minutes with then?
This is that matchup, that mix up. We got a bunch of people that play 3, so I guess he's with the transfer from ASU and him are going to be very similar spot. I just don't know. But we have a lot of minutes to eat. For years, we've had these 30, 35-minute guys playing on the court, and I don't think we need that right now. I don't think that we have the athlete for that just can burn. Like Anthony Cowan never looked tired. I was very negative on Anthony Cowan many a times that hey, maybe 80% of Anthony Cowan isn't as good as 100% of somebody else that's fresh off the bench. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that man just could do it, but not everybody can. Kevin Herter was one of those players. He played 35, 38 minutes a game for the Terps, but those players are rare in today's basketball.
But isn't it crazy how often we can find those guys, that the Terps can find those guys that can play those long minutes like that and still be effective?
It's a little crazy that we keep having to do this. That was the other argument from last Shell and Tell for people that have been there. Fred got into this statement of how deep this team was and that we have all these contributors. And I'm just like, Fred, I remember this conversation last year that we were 9 and 10 deep. And shocker, we were down to 6 or 7 contributors by like week 3. Like, I don't want to fall into that trap again.
Yeah, but how much of that was like the Twins not complaining about playing time and not getting in it? How much of that was, all right, if you're going to whine, you're going to sit more, right? We don't know the conversations that are being had there because they could quote afford it. But I don't know that you have a bunch of me guys yet. That's yet to be seen. If you got a bunch of me guys, then yeah, you could be right back down there. But if you've got a bunch of guys that are willing to learn, recognizing, hey, I'm going to sit behind 1 or 2 of these guys for a year, and then it's my time to shine. I'll get the minutes and come in when I can and be effective when I can. That'll be the better thing for some of these young kids.
Yeah, the Twins were not last year, it was the year before, but yes, we were put in a hole by them that we had to scrape to find some big men replacements. And Galen Smith was obviously not the same as Jalen Smith. No. That was not the same caliber player. So we definitely had some problems there, and then we were pushing freshmen into positions that they just didn't belong in. And honestly, that's why a bunch of those players are playing elsewhere now, is because they were put into the Big Ten spotlight before they needed to be, and they couldn't hack it. So down to lower level competition.
Yeah, makes sense. Alrighty, it is time for this week's rundown, and since we just finished talking Terps, let's stick with the college side of things, and we're going to start with Ryan. So, Ryan, what is your rundown topic this week?
My rundown topic is the end of apparently college and high school football for everyone forever.
Pee-wee football at this fucking
this
point.
Name, image, likeness, like, I agree in principle with all of it, but it's running, it needs to be squared away. We need to find out where it begins, where it ends, how it's used, because we fought it for too long and let the courts get involved to the point where it's like, you have to allow them this now. And then we're like, oh, crap, we haven't had a decade of discussion where we could have thought up rules and guidelines. Let's just say you're all allowed to do it, just go for it. Well, we now have high schoolers foregoing their senior season in order to enroll early in college in order to make money off name, image, likeness. That's what we're doing here. You have a 16 to 17-year-old player that goes, all these boys I've been playing with for 3 years and want to win another state title? Nah, because I got a bunch of Twitter followers and like Lito's Pizza will pay me $80 a retweet. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up to sit on the bench at Ohio State and do that. Like, yeah, this all goes back to the story of the Alabama quarterback making $750,000 before he ever took a snap. Well, if you heard that and you're the number 1 QB in the nation, signed up to be a 2022 recruit, wouldn't you just figure out a way to be a 2021 recruit?
Yeah, but I guess that's to your point. Like, where's the line there? Like, don't you? Has he tested into OSU? Are they going to let him go without his degree? Like,
and let me tell you, there's another of my problems.
Maryland
is never going to let this happen. I would love Maryland to let this happen, but like, it's not
because Maryland is trying to turn the page with the ethics and things like that.
And they're not going to let you just like grab a GED and show up at Maryland. Like, you have to have test scores. Like it's not everything, but Ohio State's like, yeah, we want the best quarterback in the nation. Come on, like, can your brother take your SAT for you?
Yeah. Like, it just baffles me.
Drew, show everyone this guy.
Is that the mullet?
Is Mr. Mullet ready for living on his own?
This dude's gonna amount to shit.
And
I'm
making
calling it now.
$750,000.
This dude never starts a game at OSU.
I don't know about that, but I do. I am worried about these kids that they will make money. That's great, but what if it costs the long term? Like, what if it makes being the next Johnny Manziel so much easier.
Yeah.
Like, you show up to Ohio State. You don't even have to be a starter yet. You're not barely holding a clipboard. Like, you're the third string, fourth string player, and you're making $750,000 like this Alabama quarterback because you're the next coming. You have $750,000 to go fuck around, to go be the cool guy at the bar, to go get your DUIs.
Get yourself into trouble.
To go,
he can't drink yet.
Be chased. Yes, he will.
No, he will.
To be chased through the streets of
Joe, you didn't drink when you were under 21 at college, right?
Never.
But seriously, I mean, everyone's seen the Johnny Manziel video of him being tackled by the police on the street. Like, this is going to be so much. And what was Manziel's problem? Manziel's problem was he was a man with no responsibilities, and his family was loaded. And now These people are going to be even worse.
He was thrust
because
into
their families aren't loaded. They've never had anyone.
They're loaded for doing nothing.
They never had anyone around them that taught them how to use money and how to use it appropriately and like to save for taxes, like Joe said. Like this is gonna be, and you're just gonna be partying.
I mean, here's the deal. Unless a name, image, likeness thing is in his situation, if he's I'm assuming he's under the age of 18. So at that point, the money's not legally his yet. Unless it's going into a fund, it's not legally his, right?
I mean,
that's
you
a
can make
negative.
money.
You can make money.
Let's let Joe answer
He's
this.
under the age of 18, so he can't legally sign a contract.
I don't fucking. I work at a warehouse.
Yeah, but
so
you could pay them like a 1099 person where they just hand you
Here we go with the
$600
accountant right here.
and guess what? That's Ryan's $600. That's not yours. You could be 16, 17, 18. They're going to just say, "Here's $20,000 right up front," and he's going to go, "Oh, thank you. I'll take that." So, I mean, unless
But he can't legally sign the contract.
I'd agree with you. He probably can't sign a contract, but if they have a handshake agreement and they just give him money,
Well, then that's
What are you
open.
supposed to do?
Then there's the whole thing. Where's the line with the name, image, likeness?
there is no line
So
with it.
basically, what this is there is no line by the federal government, which is what the problem is here.
Yeah.
But this man is making this move because he's in Texas, and Texas has a law on the books that high school players cannot benefit from name, image, likeness. It hasn't changed since the federal rule changed, and therefore this Texas quarterback, who was on one of the top teams in the nation, probably was going to go win another state title. As you might be able to see from the photo, he's got all his state titles tattooed on his forearm because that's a cool thing to do.
How do you get a tattoo?
parents signed off on it.
The parents are trying to get rich off my man.
All I know is Johnny Manziel was around when they passed it. He'd be a fucking millionaire already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny
There's quite
Manziel
a
wouldn't
few.
even need
Jameis
it in the
Winston
NFL.
would be a
There's quite a few. All right, let's go over to the couch. Joe, we'll start with you. What is your
All
rundown
right.
topic this week?
So my rundown was that the U.S. men's national team won 1-0 over Mexico in the Gold Cup tournament.
Gold Cup?
I don't know if you guys watched that.
That's
great,
a nil. That's
great,
zero.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
zero.
nil
Thank
chance
you.
of me watching that.
Great game. They beat Mexico.
No
about-
chance that I'll
Yeah.
be wearing what Joe or James wore a few weeks ago.
Anyway, whatever.
Never.
So they won They won
You
two.
look better in that blue.
1 month ago against Mexico before with the top-notch players. All these guys in the Gold Cup were subpar, like B-level guys, they called them. So they beat them twice in 2 finals. Well, the U.S. women's team lost to Canada in the semifinals of the Olympics.
Games.
My question is, do the men finally take over the women? Because the women have dominated the sport the last decade. So is it the time for the men to rise?
Nope.
I think there's a hiccup
Not at
with
all.
the
You guys
women.
don't watch soccer, do you?
I think there's a hiccup with the
Not
women.
at all.
Alex Morgan.
I watch crab kickers in Parkville.
Alex Morgan's coming off of having a child, right? I don't think she's 100 back to 100%. Everybody
too
says she's
old.
good. She's not too
She's-
old.
No,
She's-
that team is too old.
True.
Parts of it. I'll agree
Parts
that parts of it are. There's some young talent on that.
But
on
there's
that
a
female
lot
team.
of young talent that got left off because of these older people.
And they have learned their mistake from this loss, and they'll be on the next squad.
Yeah,
And
well-
we don't have reinforcement for the men's team. The best players in the world do not exist here.
They're coming up.
They
Yeah.
don't.
The other
The
thing
American
that's coming
team
in-
is not going to be even a third place
I'll
finisher
tell you what.
ever.
I'll tell you what. Soccer MLS is going to be bigger than MLB in the next 10 to 15 years.
Well, MLB is terrible. So
That's the thing is there's money, and this goes to what happened, what came out this week with the whole U.S. women's national team and the men backing them, saying equal pay and this type of stuff. And I get it. The problem is it's a business, right? You're doing it because you love the sport, but you're also getting paid money. The thing with it is the women are finally they were finally starting to bring in more funds than the men were. But yes, you have the men kind of edging up and taking advantage of their struggles. Is it because the team's too old? I don't know. You got to see what's going to happen in the next 2 years with the men's national team and the women's national team. If the men's team continues with their youth to rise up and blow everybody out of the water and show, hey, we can do this, it depends on what happens with the World Cup.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If the men
The men's
show up in
make
the
it.
World Cup, the World Cup in the world of soccer, men's soccer brings in more money than women's soccer. There's no doubt. There's no debate in that. It's facts. Go look it up. I don't have the exact numbers, but I know it is more. The problem is that the women have that better record, and they're right.
The problem is
right?
the men weren't even qualifying.
Right.
So therefore,
I used to
but
love-
the
I used to
women
love-
qualifying made
But the
more
point
money.
is, do
used
you
to
guys
love-
think the men's going to get to that level where the women's like that they can shoot for that World Cup?
I don't know, because you'd have to recruit some of the top players in the world, and there's too much coming out of the U.S. doesn't accept soccer. A majority of the U.S. doesn't accept soccer for what it is. Right. The rest of the world calls it football. We call it soccer.
There's your problem.
Right.
That we will never.
We'll never.
We already have a football.
Well, no, but
We
that's
will never get any better because that will always be true.
That's the thing is, football came before football.
Actually,
right?
it's growing.
A
The last 10 years,
Chi.
soccer is growing.
Oh no! I'm saying
there
like
are two young.
You mean
pros.
growing in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yes.
There
yes,
are two
yes.
pros in world overseas right now that are playing for
Well,
top 10 teams.
who's-
There's a
Barcelona.
lot of top U.S. guys playing overseas right now.
But you,
That won the-
because
that won the,
because they don't want to play in the U.S. and a lot of them are
No,
also
they,
playing
they,
in their home
actually, they
country.
actually got paid.
Well, you get paid
The
though.
team
get paid.
paid them to go over there.
Money,
Okay.
Denzel.
Well, then you have what's his face that came over
Here, talk
and is
about
playing in
soccer way too
MLS.
long.
Drew's ready to fall asleep.
we talked about baseball
Yeah.
for 45
Let me
minutes.
have a piss break then.
Yeah, right. So look, I see what you're saying, and I think the next 2 years is gonna tell you if the men can keep on the rise and the women continue to have some struggles, because they've had some struggles in some games outside of the Olympics. Yeah, they could. They very well could. But the women have just been too good for so long. And the men, I used to love Robin Williams joking around about the men's U.S. soccer team looking like a Special Olympics team. We kicked the ball. We kicked the ball.
I'm not gonna
Like,
lie. I would love the U.S. men's to be able to be relevant in a FIFA final because honestly,
Yes,
it's
that would
pretty
be-
cool at that
that is
level.
awesome.
It will be.
but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
It
ever
will
gonna
be.
happen.
No, it's going to be there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, all right, James, what's yours?
Mine is, you have like $1 billion team named the Cleveland Indians.
Can't say that word anymore.
I'm sorry.
Cleveland.
How hard is it just to Google search your new name that you're thinking about, and then you already, propose and announce, and then realize a Derby team already has that patent and that name.
And
So-
all of the social media accounts.
Yeah, social media
That's all I'm
account.
They're going to cash in.
And now you have to pay this clown. So whoever decided to announce it and not do their homework, they should be fired.
Yeah, I already signed up for the roller derby team because I'm gonna try to get some of this money.
Like, how hard is it? Like,
Yeah.
like Google.
It
It's out
was-
there. Google Guardian.
It was pretty bad. The one thing they were saying, like that Cleveland, the MLB team may be able to hang their hat on, is I guess this team was inactive since 2019 because of COVID. And so there wasn't updated information on the website or whatever, so it could have been assumed that they were no longer doing
You're a
it. But
$1 billion company. Do your homework.
And they still
You
own the
pay these
trademark,
guys.
exactly.
But the thing is, it's like you get premature that you got excited, like, oh, we could name it Guardians. It's like spelling like Indian, so we keep
Exactly
the same
the way it
thing. Like,
looks.
and they're like, yeah, let's go for it. They're like, get the shirts ready. Let's announce it.
Get
And then
Tom
they're like-
Hanks on the phone. Let's do a video.
And then they're like, oh, shit. Now we're
Hey,
screwed.
look.
Well, and to your
Look,
point, that was the worst part about it. It's like you went out and you got Tom Hanks to do this, narrate this video.
Which cost
You
some
did
money.
Which,
How much was that?
exactly, which cost you some money. And then you turn around and you're like, oh.
Oh, shit. What the?
Hey, Terry Francona hated it so badly. He said, "I'm just going to sit out the rest of the season."
Oh, don't talk bad about Tito.
They made the name announcement. They go, oh, you know what? I'm going to take the rest of the season off.
Yeah. All right, well, let's stick with baseball. Drew, what's yours?
Might as well. So, all you Orioles fans who were a little bit pissed off about Kumar Rocker not being drafted, well, guess what? The Mets drafted him 10th overall, did not reach an agreement. Go figure, because he sucks now. He is a little bit washed up. He overplayed himself in college, and he's had some bad MRIs. The plan was for him to sign at $6 million. He was about to announce that, hey, look, I'll sign for $6 million. The Mets reviewed his physical and go, you know what? We're going to balk on that deal. And we're not going to even offer you a deal, basically. So Rockers camp, which, by the way, includes...
I heard they could cut it more than half.
So I'll get to that. Thanks for cutting me off, Scott.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So
He sits in the big chair and it gets
look,
to his fucking head.
Look, this is my last week. I'm enjoying every fucking second of it. I'm spilling shit and everything. I'm fucking
And
it all up.
for
Mark's
purposes
territory.
at the end of the show, I'm going to send your ass back to the couch.
Nope. I'm not sitting on that couch. Fuck that team.
Gator couch, baby.
Rocker's team, Rocker's agent is Scott Boras. So go figure. Yeah. You're not going to get any corners cut. You're not going to get any corners cut anyway. So that's how it played out. So basically, Rocker was selected to the league's pre-draft MRI program, and him and Boras decided not to participate. So what happened was, if he would have participated and you go through this whole situation with the MRI and the shoulder and all that, you would have at least I was about to say the fucking Indians. Jesus Christ. The Mets would have had to at least offer him $4.74 million if they wanted to have a pick next year for him not signing. So obviously, if you lowball him for 4.74 and him and Boras say, screw it, I don't know, my guy's worth $6, whatever the slot was, we want that, then you don't come to an agreement, you get the 11th round pick. Well, they use a loophole basically and didn't have to do that because Kumar and his team decided not to enter this MRI program, and because of that, the Mets will receive the 11th pick in the 2022 draft, so basically a pick later. My problem with it is you get to this point where it's not the first. I mean, the Astros had signed Mark Capello years ago when they were in the middle of their rebuild, and he was the first overall pick. Didn't come to terms, and like you can decide that. Now, granted, maybe you did it to yourself. You didn't want to put yourself out there with the injury, but you can decide as an organization not to sign the guy, and then you still get a compensation for it. There's a flaw there. I mean, it's more elaborate. I won't get into because it's just a rundown, but it's just there's a flaw, another flaw there with the MLB that it's like, how do you not at least, all right, well, here, let's just agree to like $3.5 million or something to get you to see if, you know what I mean? And not only that, the Mets aren't a small market team, so you're not penny pinching. You're a big market.
It's not like you weren't talking to this guy before the draft.
That too.
Right? These guys, when it comes draft night, they have an idea that, hey, if we get to you, we're going to take you.
Yeah.
And here's probably around the ballpark that we're going to offer you. It's going to depend on what goes before you, what goes after you. It's going to be in this range, right? That's generally what happens.
Yeah.
And they're looking at that. And Boras, the question that I had seen on this was that Boras and his agency knew that there was actual potential injury issues, past injury issues.
Yeah.
And that's why they told him not to do it.
Yeah.
So at that point, I get what you're saying, but I don't think it should be the team's fault, right? If that happened with the Orioles and the Orioles were stuck in that situation, we have one of the toughest physicals in the fucking league, right? Or at least we have been in the past. If they don't pass our physical, like, we should have the ability to kind of step back.
It's just not a big enough team penalty in my mind. To only drop back one position for the next year, it almost feels to me like you could decide, say you're a team...
Why should they be penalized?
Okay, but say you just want to abuse this. Say you're a team that you're set with a decent number of young players right now. You have a good roster. Why wouldn't you just continually draft people that you know aren't going to sign for this position number, lowball the hell out of them, and then you can have 4 first-round draft picks 2 or 3 years from now while your guys are getting older and bulk up your system all at the same time.
Because it generally doesn't happen when you lowball and you underslot a guy. These guys, especially a lot of these guys that outside of this COVID year, this is going to be the exception, right? But a lot of these guys historically, this is your shot.
It happens all the time with high schoolers. It depends what level you're drafting at.
Yes, but with college guys especially, which is what this year's draft big time was.
True. I'm just saying, in the worst case scenario of abusing this, you could abuse this.
Oh, you absolutely could, but I'm sure there's something in the rule that we don't know about that we're not reading that prevents that.
Oh yeah, you get one step back.
Yeah, but it's one step back the next year. That's the problem.
But you still get your pick the next year. So for the Orioles, say we didn't sign our first rounder this year.
If they would have picked Kumar.
It was what, the 3rd overall this year is what we had? Fifth overall. So then next year we'll have the 2nd because we suck this year and the 6th. like that's a lot. That's awful loaded draft for you right there.
Well, and that comes back to the player too. Like in a situation like this, if it was a high schooler, you've got the next 3 years of your life to kind of figure it out and raise your stock to be the number one.
2 to 4.
Yeah. So it sucks extra for this player in this scenario, but the rule in general sucks.
That was my point too, and that was the thing. But like you're also doing it to yourself. If you have an injury, and you know you have an injury, and you have any doubt in your mind that like you're never going to really make it,
Boras is going to get this.
Why wouldn't you get your money now? Because you can't go back to college. Basically, what are you going to? You know what I mean? You can only make it worse.
That's the thing though too is that there could be a loop that could be part of the loophole that like if they really wanted to pursue it. Look, we fully believe that Boris was aware of this injury, and that's why they didn't want to do the MRI, right? For pitchers, an MRI is kind of a regular thing before during the draft process.
And so with this rule, this player can't sign with anyone else this year,
He's
which
got
is
2
insane.
years left of college eligibility.
He's going back to
So he
Vanderbilt.
has
he's
to
gonna
go back to Vanderbilt, and he has the likelihood of making it worse and maybe going in the third round.
For
Exactly.
Kumar.
Yeah, I don't know. In my head, I feel like with all this notoriety, what's going on, if this guy's willing to, Boris could make a phone call and get this dude some bag of money to play with Adam Jones and Asia.
He can't. He can't.
How is that? How does the the MLB control another country's baseball league?
Because he's not going to get that much money over there. Those guys don't pay that much money. It's not. This isn't basketball. They're not. They're not getting paid that much money.
Baseball, so I'll just let you guys talk about
I mean,
it.
there's a reason that guys like Ohtani and
maybe
Ichiro come
Japan.
over here because they know they can make even more money than what they're making over there. And what they're making over there is almost, in some cases, it's kind of league average / league minimum. And this is for guys that are top tier guys. Could he do it? Yeah. Would it be smart of him? No. And it's going to look weird to any Asian team that he goes to, whether it's Korea, Japan, Chinese baseball league, whatever it may be. The New York Mets didn't want to sign you because you didn't go through the MRI process and you didn't fully pass their physical.
Yeah, and I don't know about the name, image, likeness isn't going to reach into baseball hard enough to make up for this.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah, and just in general, like in this situation, they both dropped the
Yeah.
ball. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Hey,
but
this is Boris being Boris, and this is why Boris shouldn't be able to touch a player out of college. I swear.
and don't rear end anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, speaking of shitload of money,
Speaking of shitload of money, let's go to the NBA.
because you can make a shitload of money in the NBA.
So, NBA trades and free agencies. First of all, let me ask you guys a question. I want a straight number here. I don't want any explanation. I just want a straight number. How many super teams do we see get formed this year?
7.
7? Okay. James?
5.
5? Ryan?
No more than already exists because these two are signing with their own teams.
Okay.
That's not an answer.
I don't know how many exist. What, 4? I guess if you want to go. I don't even. The Lakers aren't even a super team. They're a super old team. I mean, they got Dwight
I asked
Howard
for
as
no
their fourth best
explanation, okay?
player.
True. How many super teams in the NBA this year? How many get formed?
Doesn't matter.
You just don't
Milwaukee
like the NBA.
is running it back
No, no, no.
Oh.
because they're a super
Do
team.
we have a hot take?
Because they're a super team without being a super team. They didn't go, hey, you're my best friend. I have fucking worked out with you in California for a fucking
No,
2
they
months.
said we
No,
want
they
to
built
we'll
the
sign
fucking
your
team.
brother so you don't leave.
They're that
That's what
too.
they
That's
did.
fine. Hey, it fucking worked.
So here's why I asked the question. Russell Westbrook is traded from the Wizards to the Lakers in a haul. The Wizards got a haul.
Who's shooting the ball on that fucking
I
team?
want to say it's like six players.
5.
It's 5. Okay, so 5 guys, 5 young players for Russell Westbrook to go out to L.A. Oh, and L.A. just signed Carmelo Anthony, washed up,
And Dwight Howard.
and Dwight Howard, washed up, and they have Anthony Davis. Getting
Who's gonna
washed
get
up.
hurt?
Average age is like 37.
Anthony Davis will be hurt by January 18th.
Yeah.
LeBron's happy. It's okay.
So
LeBron
yeah,
is
exactly.
like, these are my boys.
LeBron. He doesn't
LeBron
give a
is
shit at this point.
LeBron is trying to make the next roster for Space Jam. That's what this is.
He would
Yeah.
love to
The
be
only
That Space
man
Jam's
left.
all right, all right.
It actually wasn't bad.
It
There's,
wasn't.
There's
It made
literally
Brody
no
laugh.
money left. They need 9 minimum salary players unless somebody gives up a bunch of money, which is not NBA regular. But Chris Paul is out there, and
Look.
he is like LeBron's best friend. If LeBron gonna give up a bunch of money, that's the man he'd do it for.
Well, and that's-
he
Chris
signed
Paul
with the
already
Suns.
signed.
He's going to
signed again.
sign. He
signed
declined
a-
the option, but he's going to
120
sign.
million. He already signed.
Let Scott finish his
okay.
goddamn segment, guys. Jesus.
Well, it's over then. The Lakers suck.
Jesus.
I know, right? Now I know what it feels like. Jeez.
Hey, Wolf, stop doing it to me.
I know, right? What did you? It's the influence of the couch. That's what this
Thank
shit
God
is.
there'll be some
Fuck off.
structure
One
here
more-
next week.
I know, right?
There's one more trade that's going to
Papa.
come. Lillard is going to go somewhere.
Lillard might go somewhere. Yeah,
I think Beal's getting traded
Chris
still.
Paul declined the $44.2 million option with the Suns, became an unrestricted free agent. You're saying he signed.
He signed.
When did he sign? Today?
Today or yesterday, he signed a
Who's that?
4-year,
Restructured.
Yeah, it's a
his
4-year
four-year
deal. He's
So he took. That's why he took
120 million.
He
which
took
is like-
$10 million last year because they're going to take that money and go give it to somebody else.
No, but he gets back end money.
gets
when
more
he's
guaranteed
too
money over
old.
the 4 years.
Yeah, NBA's guaranteed.
I mean, they the way they set the team up, it's not going to be a fluke. Like they'll be probably the top one or two next year.
They'll be all right
anyway.
The one interesting one, Kawhi Leonard declined his $36 million option for next season with the Clippers. They're expecting him to also work out the new deal, but there's rumors that he's wanting way more than the Clippers are willing to go.
I wouldn't pay him nothing because he just got surgery for his ACL or MCL.
I think it was the MCL, yeah.
If Miami has the money for him, then that is a
They
serious concern.
just brought in
Tucker, PJ Tucker, the Bucks.
Yeah, but Miami still has money. It ain't like
they gave
can't
Butler,
remember,
they
no,
gave Butler a new
brought
deal.
some big name.
Duncan.
I'm drawing
yeah,
a
but
blank.
Butler's deal I know is backloaded. Butler's deal is backloaded, so that they could bring in somebody if they wanted to.
They don't.
Look it up, Joe, because I know they just brought Miami. Just brought somebody
Yeah.
else.
I'll look it
Kawhi's
up
not
for
going
you.
to Miami anymore. Like
Kawhi can't go
That's
there.
my job.
Oh yeah, so it's just overall like that's the point. The NBA is
Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry went there. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
looking for league minimum
And
players
then the
too.
Bulls
Yeah.
just stacked up too.
Yeah, they did.
Lonzo Ball. Yeah.
So
Kuzma.
the one thing about this is that, and the reason I asked the question, the NBA is starting to become a giant joke with these super teams, and it gives me all the more utmost respect for what Giannis was able to do and elevate the people around him. Right? He didn't bring in people just to have three guys, huh?
Milwaukee did bring in somebody.
I mean, they brought in Drew Holiday, but it wasn't
Right,
like
but
I
it
said.
wasn't-
It wasn't. Let me go handpick my friends and let me go.
Exactly.
Hey,
It
come
wasn't
hang
a
out of my mansion and we'll
he-
talk about
he
bringing you
don't
in
have-
It
next
wasn't a
year.
team. It wasn't a team of three top 10 players
Giannis, the only thing
within
he
the
could bring
past
in-
3 to 5 years.
Giannis, the only thing he can bring in is his brothers.
Yeah,
which
that's-
all of them have a championship.
But did he bring it in and put the team on his back and win the title?
Well,
though?
they
They
gave
did.
him the Tom Brady treatment. They said, "Who do you want us to sign?" He said, "My brother."
Yeah, and that's the thing is, regardless of that, but he brought it. He didn't go out and bring in somebody that was going to cost them a ton of money. That was a top 10 player in the NBA in the past 3 to 5
I
years.
wouldn't bring anybody either. They're offering me $200 million. I don't need anybody.
I just want to say this.
But that's the respect. That tells you the type of player that he is. That he elevates everyone around him. Everybody wants to talk about LeBron, and this is where I agree with you. LeBron versus Jordan. Jordan elevated some of those guys to the status that they were.
He made them or get the hell off the team.
Exactly. It's when you have LeBron has won his championships by going and saying, go get me this top 10,
I need this guy.
top 10, 15 player in the league. I want this guy with me. That's how he's doing. Giannis didn't do that. Giannis played with guys. He was the only top 10 player on the team. He was probably only the only top 20 player on the team.
Hey, they did have a Orioles prospect on their team. So.
Hey, Pat Connaughton, baby,
Yeah.
Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
Got a ring.
His
Love it.
Cleveland team had nobody on it either, though. He did it.
No,
once
when
on
he
his
won
own.
that title bullshit, it
He
had
did. It
it
had
had
Kyrie,
and it
Kevin
had
Love.
Kevin Love were in their prime.
I don't want to hear
They
that
were
shit.
both
Yeah.
are
And I don't
top
wanna hear that
20.
shit
Kyrie
anyway
was
because
arguably at the time a top 10.
I hate that whole situation because
Neither
it's
one
like,
of them played in the finals.
you left us and went to Miami, and then when you
But they
came
got
back,
him there.
we
That's
love
all
your
that matters.
jersey. We were burning it 3 years ago, but fucking hey, you're back with us now. Hey, I'm gonna buy some new jerseys.
An Australian three-point shooter was his best player in the finals.
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
All right, it is time for the 2-minute warning. Drew, you decided you're going to go first?
I'm gonna go first.
Huh? Going to be ballsy on your last night in the chair, huh?
Yeah, I just want you to answer the second question.
First and last.
What's that?
It's his first and last.
First and last, yeah.
Well, that's not good. I'll be here again.
You'll be on the couch.
Scott has a work trip in October.
All right.
Maybe we might need to bring in Carlozo. I don't know.
No, fuck that. Sorry, Joe.
Hey, outside of baseball, I'm back in the run.
yeah, that's true. Outside of baseball, Ryan's over here. Oh, man. All right, Ryan, what do we got?
All right, with the fight breaking out in today's camp and recent actions, what is your take on the Giants head coach Joe Judge and his handling of his team so far?
So it's two-sided. I think it's kind of cool to watch him like, no, you're running laps and you're doing push-ups and all that shit. I think it's kind of cool to see that in this situation, especially with the huge fight breaking out. I mean, injuries can pop off like that.
Your quarterback's at the bottom of the pile.
But how long does that run thin? You know what I mean? Like they had Coughlin in that situation, and you had a few years of guys that weren't disciplinary at all, and they were sucked. So does it work? We'll see. If it doesn't, it's going to wear out its welcome.
Look, Fred made the prediction in our group chat. He's saying $100 that the Giants win the Super Bowl. I think it's a little stretch. It's a little bit of a stretch.
I think that was tongue in cheek. I don't want to speak for him, but I think it was.
I don't know.
What does Baltimore YouTuber have to say?
I went down a fucking rabbit hole today with Joe Judge and some of the quotes, some of the things he's been interviewed with. I like Joe Judge. He has this just like, you're going to listen. You're grown men. You're getting paid to do this, but you're going to fucking listen.
About it, yeah.
I like
high
it.
School coach, but this is the NFL.
But they've listened.
All right, simple question. Higher number, Terps wins or Ravens losses?
Ooh. Go ahead, Drew.
No, what? Okay, fuck it. Push. Because there's going to be 4 Ravens losses and there's going to be 4 Terps wins. Just to piss Ryan off for a second. Just to make him go.
All right. We're going to go there.
When you said push, I was thinking 5, but okay.
I'll go with the 4 route. The goddamn Talia can't fucking throw a ball to save his life. That's why.
According to Scott.
which is why it's a push. I'll go push it at 5. I would go push it 5 here, but for the simple fact that
remember this.
There's a Ravens loss that we're not going to be expecting because they're going to underestimate their opponent.
17 games.
It happens 1 year, and the Terps are not as good as Ryan thinks they are.
He's gonna
remember this. They're winning 6. He's goes, I told you fucking guys.
5's understandable. That's about right.
We're going bowling.
All right, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. Drew, I'm going to ask the room to give you a round of applause for a nice fill-in week.
Pretty fun few episodes.
Yeah, nice fill-in weeks for Fred. Fred should be back next week, which means your ass is back on the casting couch.
Joe.
Well, I don't know. We might have to grab a chair and put you on the side and leave Joe there. I don't know.
Can you break goddamn fish tank?
Can you break up the Florida, Penn State, Maryland love, whatever the fuck's going on over there?
I want that couch.
We had the better draft.
Yeah, all right, yeah. All right, anyway, make sure you guys check out the website, www.birdlandbs.com.
Even my wife is throwing darts.
While you're there, we go bowling every year, right? Anyway, make sure you check out the website. You can get all of our podcasts, check out all our episodes. We got the fellas section. Drew is now an official member of the fellas section, along with James.
Joe.
We might have to get Joe in here. He's had some pretty good input.
Why don't you like me, man?
But make sure you check us all out there. The Shell and Tell podcast is there. They had their latest episode with the mod up there. I think you guys put up, 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago?
Yep.
Make sure you guys go check that out. Get yourself some Birdland BS gear while you're there. Check us out on all of our social media pages. At Birdland BS is how you find us. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow and share while you're there. Comment. Give us some feedback. What do you like about the show? What do you dislike? What do you want to talk about? We're willing to talk about. Or email. birdlandbs@gmail.com is how you get a hold of us. Make sure you do that. And as always, the audio version of the show, it's not a podcast anymore. It is a show. The audio version is on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts on. For Drew, thank you again. Fred, who will be back next week. Ryan over there in the producer chair. And the Florida, Penn State, whatever the fuck they are, casting couch over there. James and Joe. We'll see you guys next week.
See it.
You guys do know this is him, right? You guys know that comment is him talking about his own shirts. Don't let him fool you.
I just want to say
that's Joe Carloza, right there.
For being like Maryland is like the Terrapins. They pushed the Maryland flag way too fucking much.
No,
dude.
no,
they put nothing with turtles on it.
Worst take ever.
No, you look like
what's the Pennsylvania flag look like?
You look like a walking.
Didn't think you knew.
You look like I know what a Pennsylvania flag. You look like
Worst
a walking
take
flag.
ever.
This is the best flag that ever
Best
existed.
flag. I was in fucking
It's
Key
not the
West.
best flag.
It is the best flag.
I was in Key West, and there was a sign with all 8,000 miles to here, 5,000 miles to here. All of them looked like wood, except for the Annapolis, Maryland one was the Maryland flag. Everybody knows our fucking flag's awesome.
Nah, only Mariners.
Oh man. Good show, guys. Good show as
Yeah, it really
always.
was.
Drew-
The more Ravens you get in there, we're gonna have better shows coming up.
Yeah.
I'll admit it.
Yeah, the less Orioles, more
Yeah,
Ravens.
fuck off.
Yeah, it sucks to look, but it is what it is. We
Yeah,
appreciate
it
you
is
guys
what
that
it
do
is.
stick around for the Ravens, the Terps. I think I see 19 of you out there right now. We appreciate you guys. Hey, talk about us with what you want to talk about. Last call. First thing we're gonna do. It's answer the internet time. It's your it's your question, but.
You know
We're gonna do the
Daddy's going to
tape.
shut this down next
Oh,
week, right?
that was the
No,
full
he's
halt.
not. I'm not
Daddy's
letting
shutting us down
him. I'm
next
not
week.
letting him. I'm not letting him.
Gone.
Kids will
So
play.
we're gonna take your idea.
Oh, yeah? I like
You
my
forgot
idea.
the LCR, by the way, which
It's
you
all right.
said you were
I
gonna
said
bring.
I was going to bring it.
So we're just gonna go.
Please
to-
let me do Scott. I want
Nope.
to the right.
You're
to
going
the right.
James.
Let's do one each direction then.
Okay. Well, no, hold on. We'll do. We have what? 5 of
All we
them.
got to do is 2 cards.
What first one we'll do is your own answer, and then the next ones we'll do the
No.
person to the left of you, person to the right of you.
Do left and right first. That way, if it gets too long, we can stop.
All
That's
right.
going to be way funnier.
That's too hard. I don't know Joe that well.
Yeah, I don't know Joe that well. Hey, let's wear matching shirts, Joe. No fucking big
You
deal.
guys look like you don't know each other. The 2 Italians cuddled on the couch with
Italian flags waving at Yankee
with
Stadium.
the yin yang Florida shirts, say they don't know each other well
We
enough.
just know that we are.
We love pizza.
We are.
You're right. I probably did lose my spot because there's no way I'm coming in wearing a fucking Florida shirt.
Scott, can you check
Why?
your
You go to
Twitter for your
Florida
Craig
more
Zero
than-
tweets?
More than
I
anything.
go to Central
Oh,
Florida.
man.
Fuck that Florida team. I've always
Hey,
disliked Florida.
They have a lot of good college football teams right now. Central
Yeah.
Florida,
Yeah, okay. Who's on their team?
Florida.
Who's on their team?
There's a couple more.
Florida
I can't
State
think-
sucks.
Florida State does suck.
Oh man. All right.
Anyway,
so
let's get back to
We'll start. All right. We'll
All right,
start to the left.
okay, that's fine. This is not the left one then.
All right, so I'll start with the left question, and then I'll answer for Ryan.
Oh, I get to answer for Scott.
You get to answer for me.
Oh, yes.
Joe gets to answer for you. James gets to answer for Joe.
Literally,
Ryan gets to
answering
answer.
for Scott is
All right.
why this is created.
Answer the internet. Marry, fuck, kill edition. Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan. But kicker, all at the peak of their breakdowns.
Who was the third one?
Oh God,
Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan.
I don't know who the man.
I don't remember.
Is.
I know Amanda
All
Bynes,
that?
but I
You
don't
don't remember
remember
Amanda
her
Bynes?
breakdown.
She had
I
her
don't
own
watch
show on Nick. It was Nickelodeon. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
Nickelodeon.
She was
old
on
for
all
that.
that.
I'm
She's
too
the
old for
man.
that.
Too old for
Yeah.
that. Okay.
All right.
I'm
Well,
sorry
we
about
know where he's going.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to say Ryan is going to. He's going to marry the biggest train wreck.
Kaylee's watching right
that does
now.
not mean Kaylee's the biggest train wreck. I just know the rest of you.
Oh, yeah,
That
normie.
was not it. You can marry Lindsay Lohan.
No.
You can. I'll say you'll kill Britney Spears and fuck Amanda Bynes.
Am I saying whether you're right or not? Is that what this is, or we just?
I don't know. How do you want to do it? You're the one that came up with this idea.
Well, you answer yours a little too deadpan, so I'll just go with.
Okay. All right.
I would not though. I would marry Amanda Bynes because I do not remember her breakdown, and the other two I very vividly remember.
So which one are the other two? Which one are you doing?
It
It's a
literally
toss-up?
doesn't matter.
All right.
I don't even know who the two were, but not Britney Spears. 'cause
Britney Spears,
my
Lindsay
wife
Lohan.
saw Britney Spears naked at the Bellagio. They were in the
True story.
True story. They were in the spa together, and my wife has a tendency to not be super observant. So Britney thought my wife was really cool because my wife didn't realize it was Britney Spears. So she was treating her like a normal person because she thought she was a normal person.
So possible.
And so everybody else was like trying to like talking about her. Like, and Britney's like, if you dip your towel in ice, it really helps with the experience. Like talking to my wife because she's blowing this crazy woman off next to her, not treating her like he's nothing. And according to my wife, she's not that hot. Like looks like regular average, like she'd be a prom queen from the trailer park, but she's not
right.
Hollywood hot. So
All right,
no,
you
thank
answer for James.
All right. Would you?
Oh, we're not answering
for that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is
All
that
right.
not how we're doing this?
Yeah. So who are the 3 names again?
Spears, Bynes, Lohan.
Well, I don't even know who this Amanda Bynes chick is. Spears can't even sing. She's not the greatest. Christina Aguilera is the greatest of all time, and no one can change my mind. So I guess I'll marry this Lindsay Lohan chick. Whatever. I don't want to answer the rest.
accurate too.
See, that's how you do it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't know where you were going with it. Now I do. All right, James, your answer for Joe.
I'm just here because you guys invited me.
That's funnier than
All right, Joe. Answer for Drew.
Oh man.
Fuck you, Carlos.
I wouldn't answer that question that way. Is that your answer? I like you, Joe. It's all in fun. Don't worry.
It's fine. It's still better.
You can come in. I might miss
the
next
after
week.
hours,
We
man.
never know. You never know.
Ryan is only answering like this because
I
you're
gotta
because
look
she's
at-
watching.
There's no other way to answer. I was also answering for Joe, or for James, so it's real easy.
Well, I would have to say that Britney Spears would probably be a good mom for my kids. So I gotta marry that. She kind of reminds me of my wife Carrie. I don't know if you've met Carrie, but
you better hope she ain't watching, buddy. You ain't gonna make it out of this house.
well, I don't think she wants to be compared to any of these people. But in answering to just like you, I'm gonna go. Let me get back into character. I'm gonna kill that Amanda Bynes chick because I don't think she'd be a good mom. I don't know why I'm talking like a Southerner. Must be the Britney Spears in me. I'll fuck that Lindsay Lohan chick. I grew up on that Lindsay Lohan chick. So, if we're just going on breakdowns, I would have banged her before the breakdown. So, I mean, in the breakdown, I'll do it. But who's the best wife? And probably best mom, maybe Britney Spears.
All right, I get it. I'm fucking long-winded. Can you
Okay.
shut up and keep going?
But most likely, if I had
I was
a
losing
choice-
it a little bit. I had after the first answer, I was
Hey,
done.
Drew, it would be like most likely because my wife was watching upstairs. I wouldn't do any of them.
All right.
Hey, real quick, Craig, if you're still watching, send them to me because I'm not seeing them anywhere in here, by the way. So send them to me directly.
All right. Would you go 3 straight summers without drinking or live a full year in Antarctica? And I'm going to be answering as Scott. So,
What was the question again?
would you go 3 straight summers without drinking or live in a year in Antarctica? I could never live.
Like how we're all fucking Southerns.
I could never live a year in Antarctica. First of all, they don't even have decks down there. So it's got an even smaller deck than I got.
You got that snow deck.
And there's nothing
got
more
some
Fuck
important.
you, the glacier is a fucking deck.
got some
There's
Huskies on my
nothing
deck.
more important than my son and my wife. Family is the most. You could give me all the superpowers in the world, and I would give them to my son. All the others suck, but that was as close as I could get to.
What was the
eating
question
Scott.
again?
Live.
You get the answer from me though.
That's what I'm figuring out.
Would you rather not drink for 3 summers or live a year in Antarctica? Which is a terrible question. Would you rather go 3 straight summers without drinking or live a full year in Antarctica? That's really clear, I guess.
Well, I sit on the couch and I got to go pee.
You don't want to
So
go to
fun.
Antarctica then, I'm telling you. I would be pissed.
But
off.
if I go to Antarctica, I can spell my name in the snow.
That's the one good thing.
But if I drink for 3 years, it'll make me pee.
We get it, Drew Pease.
I pee a
All right,
lot.
Drew, go.
We all urinate.
Not every 20 minutes.
Personally, I don't like that question because I don't want to do. I like drinking and I am not in the cold, so I fuck all that question.
Well, good thing you're not answering for you.
Well, I'm
You're
answering for Joe. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to act like I know about Joe because why do I fucking talk in a Southern accent?
Everybody's a Southern accent, though.
Just go with it.
Let's see. I think my man could deal with the cold. He did a lot of weird stuff in college. I did a lot of weird stuff in college. I didn't.
My wife's watching.
I drank a lot in college. I mean, I drank like the minimum you should drink if you're in college. I mean, we are.
That was actually pretty good. He does accidentally say things and then backtrack a lot. He's like, "Oh crap, this is being recorded. I forgot."
All right, Joe, you're James.
I'm James. Well, I really can't flip some pizzas in Antarctica. So, I'm going to have to go with not drinking because I really don't like IPAs anymore.
IPA saved it. The IPA saved it. It was terrible.
I'm done.
How's it going?
All right, James for Ryan.
Well, fuck that, because I go to football tailgates and I drink all the time, so I cannot go a whole summer.
The opposite now.
3 years I'm not drinking, so I'm gonna have to go to Antarctica because I drink way too much while I'm tailgating with my bowling team, the Terps. So that's easy question. Done. Done. Simple.
My gal.
You're close, but I can't miss the Terps game, therefore I can't go to Antarctica.
I don't see you not drinking at a Terps game.
Oh, man. All right. Drew, what's your one? So let's just do it regular now. Do it regular for the last three.
All right.
Run through
I
them.
don't think I can hit on the 3 more like that.
All right. Well, we're going to start with Joe. He has to answer this one first. I don't know why. He just does. Get that camera off of you, Ryan. No one cares.
There. Thanks.
Put it on him.
What did you? I gotta. We were going a little. We usually last couple weeks have been a little bit sexualized with our questions. We're going to get away. Why do I still sound Southern?
Sexual fever.
So I'm bringing about a little bit of the risqueness. Would you rather sleep with a sexy midget or a below average regular chick? So as I would like to call him a normie.
Oh, that would have been easy for Scott.
So yeah, what say you, Joe?
I will go with answer number 2. Below average sexual check.
I like the picture.
Yeah, right.
James?
I would go the same way because midgets are just too small for me.
They like the big guys. You toss them around.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Keep it simple. Normal. Who's getting involved with the other one? That's like something out of character here.
Yeah, normal. Easy answer.
Well,
What's your answer?
Keep it simple, Drew.
Keep it simple.
I mean, it'd be pretty interesting.
All right.
I'll pick in the midget because it'd be a little interesting. You
right.
know what I mean?
All right, Joe, what's your
Hit
question?
it and quit it.
Be a good story.
Apparently, Joe's drinking, so.
Would you rather know the lyrics to every song ever or get $5,000?
I'd rather get the $5,000. I can give a shit about the fucking lyrics.
That's how I would have answered for James.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, and also, I already know all the lyrics I need to know. Give me my money.
I'll take the money. I can use it for my son.
You fucking dick. I was going to answer like you. Shit.
It's so much more fun that way. Answer for yourself.
Damn it. I was going to answer for Scott on that one. Oh, shit.
What's your answer?
I don't give a shit about knowing lyrics. Give me $5,000. I'd rather make up lyrics and enjoy my singing and have $5,000 in my
Some of these
pocket.
are too
All right,
easy.
Joe, you going $5,000 too?
I'm going $5,000 because I can buy as many magazines for fantasy football as I want.
Or drugs.
Jeez. All right, James, what's your question? Last one.
Normally I get all the weird sexual stuff, but I got the simple one tonight. If you were a professional athlete about to hit the peak of your career and you won the Powerball, would you keep on playing or take your winnings and retire?
I'll answer this first. I'd keep
Well,
playing.
I got my wife upstairs with my son now. I like to spend quality time with him.
So
So I'm taking the Powerball money.
Nope, I'm
teaching him how to play.
If I'm loving a sport, I'm playing it.
That's
and
bullshit.
I don't have to worry about it.
Everybody, that's a fake answer. He's got his son upstairs. And he wants to teach him how to throw a curveball because he's a catcher, and he wants to teach him to be like him.
The curveballs.
No, I'm 100% still playing. I don't care at that point. Still playing.
Hey, what was the question again?
Would you keep playing your sport if you were
If you hit the
And then
Powerball,
healthy already,
Powerball, or
basically?
would you
you're a
just retire?
professional athlete at the peak of your
career.
Well, no, I'd keep playing the sport because if I'm at the peak of my career, I would have still been a really great baseball player and gotten guaranteed money and had like a $200 million contract. Whereas,
It doesn't say baseball. It just
okay,
says
well
athlete.
then never mind. Give me the fucking money. I don't know. Wait, what?
Yeah.
What? I
So,
mean, but
well-
I'd choose baseball. I mean, they get paid guaranteed money. That was the sport
That was
I played
basketball.
growing up. I didn't play basketball
But you
growing up
weren't a
because I'm
catcher,
white.
though, so you wouldn't get paid.
So Drew has the right call here though, because it does depend on the sport.
It does
if it's,
depend on the sport.
If it's baseball and I can be Chris Davis, who can get a guaranteed contract and suck and basically sit at home the rest of the time
And get, like,
sure,
$20 million
sounds
up
great.
until, like,
Or if
2030.
I can even be a basketball player where I'm getting mostly guaranteed money, I still pretty much have to play, but like very little chance of a like life altering injury. Sure, but if I'm an NFL player, zero chance I keep playing.
Or NHL.
I'm going
Well,
home.
Or
Like,
soccer,
keeping it in the theme of the Olympics, if you guys watch the HBO special that they did with Michael Phelps, Olympians don't get paid that much. They dedicate their entire career.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, every single one of them would probably want the money
Yeah.
and Powerball.
Mental health is a big part of it too.
All right, where are we at? Am I reading this?
Yep.
Great. Would you date a smoke show who was terrible at sex? Nope. Absolutely not. That's like a big part of the dating purpose and like how you keep your relationship going. So no, thank you.
Nope, moving right along.
Nah, I'm used to my normies. I'm good.
Except you're taking midgets.
Yeah, well, wait a second. That smoke show midget, though. Oh, shit. Oh, dilemma.
Ah, jeez. All right, Joe and James, and then we'll move on. We got some questions from
Taking the norm.
Craig.
I'm gonna say no, and I would answer. I would take the Powerball money since you didn't let
We're
me.
talking about Ryan's.
We're over the Powerball money.
He skipped me, damn it.
All right. So
I can
Craig,
buy all the Florida shirts I want.
Craig did send a question. I think there was another question from Justin in there that we'll get to in a second. So Craig said, here's some plays that he was thinking about while we're waiting for football. Number one, star O-line, Lamar under center, Pancake Pat behind him with, I believe he's saying Gus and Boyle at tight end and Andrews and Mason on the left. So you're doing a 3 tight end set. How more heavy can we get than a run to run the ball through the defense with the possibility of giving Gus, Ricard, or even Lamar after faking it? It gives them the ball or passing it to Andrews, Boyle, or Mason, giving it in a jet sweep. So that's one. He's got another one. You're going to like this one. Lamar under center, JK behind him, Bateman left wide out, Hollywood left slot, Mandrews on the right lineup with the O-line, and Duvernay at right wide out. You can give it to JK for the fast inside or outside and faking it to Lamar. Runs quickly down the lane, throw it quickly to Hollywood in the post route, or Duvernay in the go route, or Bateman outside the numbers. Or if you want to throw to Mandrews to embarrass the linebacker, you can.
Let
I
me
like
tell
that
you,
one.
you had me at Lamar under center because we can't snap the ball through the air. And so why do we keep trying to snap the ball through the air? Like, there's another option that they did for, 80 years. You put your hands under the ass and they hand it to you. So we should do that. But it seems like Lamar is apparently not capable of being under center because we refuse to do it no matter how bad our centers are.
I heard that they're going to do more under center this year.
And yet I haven't seen it in preseason. They just keep throwing balls over
We
our
also
heads.
haven't had Lamar though.
Yeah, you haven't
that was
had
my
Lamar
point
there.
still. Like, and I don't think. I don't know. We want to open up because did we really talk about Lamar and this whole COVID thing during the show? Because we were trying to avoid
We didn't.
it.
I mean, he's under 10-day quarantine.
But that's
so
my point. Like, it's his fault that he's not there right now. It is. It's no one else's fault that you didn't go get the vaccine and that you.
We don't know that, though.
We do, because if he had the vaccine, he
No.
wouldn't be in the thing. He wouldn't be in the
no,
10-day. Am I wrong?
You
No,
are.
hold on. I am not wrong, because if you were vaccinated,
Regardless
all
of
you needed
vaccination-
was 2 negative tests. If he was taking a test
But you
every
can
day and
sti-
still doing it,
You
can
can
test
still get. You
positive
can
for
still
months
get
after.
COVID. You can still get COVID even with it.
Have
That
they
it's
said he
the-
had negative tests, though?
it has come out and been said that the guy is not vaccinated. It's come out and been said.
Well, then,
I'm
I
not
haven't
making
seen
that up.
that.
I'm not wrong.
He's
It's
not
been come out and
vaccinated.
said he's not vaccinated.
I
So
was just in Florida. I can promise you nobody's
I
vaccinated.
am right. I am right, and I want to bring it back. And I'm not. I'm a supporter, and I'm not really throwing him under the bus for it. But it does beg the question of what you said with plenty of stuff about his off the field stuff. Not the whole running on and having fun with kids. That's cool. The right
Yep.
kind of fun with kids, not the rear ending kind. But what you brought up, you're hanging out
Not
with a
the Penn
fucking
State
a
guy.
known guy that's a fucking gangster. It's the off the field stuff that shows your immaturity. It's the off the field stuff that whether
The fact that he exposed hundreds of kids to COVID.
So you know what I mean? Like that. So we were giving him a pass on that. We were all completely on his side, and then a week later or a little bit more, the COVID thing. It comes to a point where it's like, I believe you can do it on the field. I believe you are a good guy. I believe you have a lot of good nature in you, and I want you here for years to come. But the immaturity and the negativity is shining through, and it's so hard. And that was one of the things that I thought about after the whole COVID thing for a second time is we make a joke about the whole Cleveland game. Look how cool it was that he made the comeback. And everyone, it was the running gag. He would go and take a shit, cramps and all that shit. And we gave him pass, and we gave up he even by admission, it took him a couple weeks more to get over the COVID thing. So you were fine getting COVID again. Now, by all accounts, it's not as bad as last time. But at what point do you you know what I mean? Like earlier in the week, and I'm going off on a tangent. I get that. I do that. But I think it was. I don't think it was Rebeck, but I think it was. There was a couple of beat writers, Hensley and the guy that comes on the fan on Mondays, Mike Prescott.
yeah.
A lot of Ravens fans gave them a lot of shit for bringing up his immaturity or his commitment for not getting the vaccine. You're a guy that sits there a few days before it's announced that you are positive for, I was about to say cocaine. That would have been really bad. For COVID. I will do anything it takes to win a championship. Do everything it takes to win a championship then.
Take a needle.
So all right. So I'm gonna.
I know I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry, because we didn't really talk about it on the show as much.
Well, because
Which is a good idea because a lot of people are Lamar complete defenders.
And
without
that's
a doubt.
kind of why
So hold on,
if it would have came up, I would have started the rant, but I wasn't going to bring it up.
So hold on a second, right? You do. Everybody does things. And I got the vaccine. Pro people that should.
You got the vaccine? I didn't know that.
But
an idiot.
here's the deal. You're saying it's his fault. Guess what? There are people who are getting the vaccine and still are testing positive for COVID.
But-
It lessens the effects.
Yes.
95% of hospitalized patients are unvaccinated, and 99.5% of deaths are unvaccinated. So yes, you get COVID because that's what vaccines are designed for.
Right.
The vaccine makes your immune system better. So for it to kill the COVID, you have to get the
No,
COVID.
but people are testing.
comes
People
in
that were
you,
tested.
you become positive, and then you kill the COVID. That's how a vaccine works for everything.
Right.
You get the
And
flu.
I
You
understand
don't not
that,
get
but
the flu.
But
you just kill the flu.
You
once
of
it's
all
in there.
people should recognize there are people who have gotten the vaccination 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago that are testing positive for COVID now.
100%.
Right? The effects are
That
lessened.
will not change.
Regardless of that, regardless of whether he was vaccinated or not, right? Any player that could happen to. So to say it's the player's fault, regardless of vaccination or not, if a vaccinated player has the same thing, he has to go through the exact same protocol.
No. That's the part you're wrong on.
No, they have not.
Two
said-
negative tests.
Two negative
Two
tests.
negative
and you're
tests.
back.
You're
Okay,
wrong,
but
Scott,
hold-
no matter how loud you
Okay,
get.
no, stop. Listen, just listen to me for a second. Just listen to me.
Fred
Okay.
and Scott.
No. This is actually a little annoying because what you're saying, there are just because you test positive
Don't hit
doesn't
the
mean
table.
it goes away. You still can be testing positive. If you had the vaccination, you could get COVID again, and you are testing positive for multiple
Then
days in
why
a
are
row.
we even playing
But
football?
that's the thing, though, Scott.
That's what some of
That's
the
a good
players are
question.
saying. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But
That's
called
my
money.
point. But when you're taking the vaccine, I'm bringing it to just him. I'm not bringing it to the world. I'm bringing it into the guy that I'm a huge supporter of.
Right.
I want to say that for first. I got a jersey. When he came in, I was supporting him. Do not go out there 3 days before you test positive and say, I will do anything it takes to win a championship, but you're not going to take a vaccine that, yes, you could get COVID again, but you could also only miss a couple days.
Yep. Because you automatically miss 14 days
You
if
were
you're unvaccinated.
we bring it back again to November. We were the laughing
Thought it was
stock of the
10 days,
league.
by the way.
10 days, yeah.
10 days for non-vaccinated. Yeah.
But if you
It's
test
10,
positive,
it's 10 days. It's 10
No,
days.
it's
not. It is.
Two
It's-
negative tests.
But
Scott,
you
you're
can
wrong, though.
stop. You can test positive for 10 days.
Okay,
Test
you're
positive in December, it
but you're
doesn't
arguing
matter.
backwards. What are you saying? Yes, there is a world where if you were vaccinated, you might test positive
knew
for
Ryan
10
would be on my
days.
side. That's why-
But
Is there
you're
people
saying
still
it like
watching?
it's the same. You
A
can
little bit.
also be test positive and be vaccinated, and then
what we
have
do.
2 negative tests in 48 hours and be back on the squad. We didn't get to test him again because it didn't matter because he was unvaccinated, so he has to sit 10 days.
And Gus.
period. So we didn't even get to find out if he was negative because there was no fucking point.
You also can't say it's his fault if he didn't even know he had it and he got it from someone else that didn't know they had it.
Okay, well, then it's not our fault for living and getting something that we have no control of.
Well, he's
I
living.
get that. But he chose not to be vaccinated to lessen
There's a lot of
the
people.
chances.
I got vaccinated, but there's a lot of people that have chosen not to do it. It is what it is.
And then, okay.
And there's a lot of people that are losing their
it's-
jobs for not doing it.
And when we have-
There's a
maybe
lot
when
of-
the
look,
Lions
here's the
start
deal.
doing it.
There's
when we lose the sports that we love because they're going to get shut down again, we'll go through the issues that we had last year. We'll know why, because there's players that decided not to get vaccinated.
Yeah, because I don't get to make that choice. I have to take a vaccine or I'm fired. And so our JB Hunt, the trucking company, and Walmart has now put out that everyone in their directors, not the stores, have to be vaccinated, and many hospital systems.
Yeah.
This is not. Yes, it's your right to choose not to be vaccinated. It is not your right to be employed by anyone. Anyone.
It's not their right to employ you.
Yeah.
I guess my
there's
point.
there's a fine political line here that we're not going to get into.
I know we normally don't. and
We're
Fred
not
wouldn't
going
let
to get
this
into
go,
it. I'm
so
stopping
I
this
get
right
that.
now.
But-
There's a fine line. There's a fine political line. I'm stopping the conversation here. There's a fine political line. We are not going to get on the show. We are not a political show. People make choices. You have to deal with the consequence of your choices. You have to deal, whether it's one way or the other. It can happen either way. Okay? Just because you're vaccinated, if you test positive, yes, you have to go through it. You have to go through and you have to get 2. But you can also test positive and have the virus and be actively doing it.
But it
You
could be as little as 5 days. He pulled up the ruling here. That he could miss 5 days instead of 10 to 14
And he's
days.
missed more than 5.
if he's actively testing positive for COVID.
If you test positive and then test negative, you only have to sit out 5 days.
Right, but if you're testing positive and then positive,
True, but we don't get to.
I know,
we
that's-
didn't have a second test because he didn't there.
right, but that's my point. How many times before this did we hear stories of people that tested positive for COVID and then turned around and didn't test positive for COVID after the second one? Regardless, it's a false it could be a false positive.
whatever.
To your point, that goes into why didn't they test him a second time to make sure it wasn't a false positive. There could be blame put on the team right now that he could be missing time. If he's feeling good, we're hearing that he's in good spirits. He hasn't been feeling horrible. We don't know.
They could
Be more
working out the
tuber.
contract.
Not only are you right that it's going to be, but it already has. That's why they said that who we just signed, Houston.
Justin Houston, yeah,
Justin
there's a
Houston
clause.
was
Wait.
not coming in until he was vaccinated. That's because
For
that was
5
part
days.
of the contract that you have to be vaccinated to join our team because we're trying to get over that 70% number so we don't get extra penalties from the league when
Right
we have
after
another
forfeit,
outbreak.
yeah. There's like again, there's a lot of political stuff going on in the background. Ideally, everybody should get the vaccine, get it taken care of, get herd immunity, all that stuff. But there's political implications. People have their own belief systems. I'm not going to knock anybody's belief system on anything like that. But there are things that the league can be doing and the league's not doing and the teams are not doing that could offset some of these things.
On top of this,
So-
do you think with Lamar's contract, they're talking about like, hey, if you get vaccinated, we'll give you this contract.
I think they're working
He's
on a
had
contract
COVID
right
twice now. He's building his own immunity.
They're going to be drawing Lamar's blood
Lamar's
soon.
like, I hang out in Florida enough. I'm going to have all the variants. We're cool.
Yeah. So,
What's that lambda? I'll take that lambda.
yeah. So Craig says, my question was football, and somehow we ended up on the vaccine. Yeah. I don't know how we ended up there,
I
but
just
we
felt
did.
like raining on Lamar because we haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean,
I'm going
again,
down to
that's-
blaze of glory.
again,
I would love to see Lamar
It's a
under
political.
center
I get
more
what you're saying, but where you
But-
were going was political, which is why I stopped
get
you
it, but
because it's
okay, I'll bring it back to football. But just right now, that guy is not on the field for a certain reason that we won't get into politics about. The guy's not on the field working with Bozeman.
What about Gus?
working? Okay, fine. He's not on the field gaining reps. You're not on the field when you could be. And then it gets to
There's
political.
no-
I think you should get the vaccine, but I'm not allowed
There's
to talk
no
political.
guarantee if he came into you're acting like this is a guarantee. If he had the vaccine and came into
But
contact,
the guys aren't on the field, and it's not through injury.
But you're acting like it's a guarantee he would keep testing positive.
I'm not. What I'm saying is you're saying he's not on the field because he's unvaccinated. That's not 100% true. There is agree or disagree. There's a possibility he could have been vaccinated and not be on the field because he is positive for COVID again and goes through 2 positive tests and he does actually have it again and maybe it's a Delta variant.
Yes,
Who
this
cares?
comes back to
Yes.
what the fans made fun of you for in this what if scenario of like
I don't
alter
care.
egos.
Okay,
I don't
real quick,
care.
Mine is if Lamar tested
You're
positive.
playing a what if
Hold on,
scenario
yeah,
too.
I'm gonna play what if. What happens? He gets COVID during the middle of the year. Trace McSorley comes in and starts winning games. Oh
yeah.
Takes us to the Super Bowl and
I knew he was
wins.
going to go fucking nuts. I knew it was going to be some weird scenario.
Trace McSorley wins the Super Bowl. What do you
Nick
do
Foles,
now?
baby.
What do you do
You
now?
trade him.
Well, it'll be Tyler.
You
Huntley.
trade him.
Lamar
Yeah.
trade Gilbert
Lamar-
at
He
quarterback.
stands up and got his
Anyway.
back
Because
swing going
Lamar
again.
didn't want to get the vaccine, so now you have Trace McSorley win the
got-
Super Bowl.
Big Dick Nick Foles, McSorley.
Yeah.
Yeah. then Lamar's like,
Look,
oh,
it's-
I'm not getting paid.
I get what you're saying, but you're putting it on one. My whole point was you're putting it on one thing, and that one thing isn't. It's an increase. It's better percentage, but it's not a guarantee either. So he could still be missing time, regardless of vaccination, unvaccination. If he's vaccinated, yes. Does it increase the likelihood that hopefully he would have been on the field? Sure, but it's not a guarantee.
Craig, as close as you're going to get to an answer is we're not offensive coordinators, so I'm not sure exactly. But yes, there do seem to be more options in those scenarios.
Well, and he put in a third one, like the star line. Like Craig, the question that you sent me, it's honestly, it's like wishful scenarios. And could these things happen? Yes, but you're putting star O line, Lamar under center, J.K. behind him, Gus in the backfield, and Justice Hill in the wishbone formation with Patrick Ricard at tight end. Good luck guessing who has the ball. Yeah, but the Ravens are never going to do that. That's not a realistic formation. It's not a realistic situation.
Justice
that's
Hill
going
is
to
not.
happen.
The rest might happen.
The rest,
Justice
but you're
Hill's
not.
wash.
You're not gonna. Yeah, you're not gonna be in that scenario. It's just not gonna happen. I get it. Could it be a giant question mark? Yeah, but are you gonna trust Justice Hill with the minimal snaps he's seen?
The Ravens
probably
seem
not.
to think Pistol does all the things under center is, and I don't
Yeah.
agree with that. But that's what the Ravens seem to do when they want the multiple options.
It comes down to what we always talk about, the OC and what he does.
If,
or doesn't do.
Or doesn't do.
and my Skip Bayless voice would be, Lamar, what are you doing? Get your shot. Get your money. Get on the field. Win a Super
That's
Bowl.
the
That's
Shannon
Shannon
Sharp.
Sharp.
Shannon Sharp, he must not care about his money enough because he didn't want to get vaccinated. That would be the Shannon
man.
Sharp way.
There was somebody else. I forget who it was. I think Justin asked a question in here
Yeah.
too, and I missed it. Where was it? Answer my what if question. What do y'all think the Ravens have done if they kept Bill Belichick as the head coach when the Browns moved here?
Justin Tucker would be the lead kicker.
He'd be coaching lacrosse.
I mean, that's
It's
a-
weighted because one way or the other, you still would have been. It still would have been a shell of a team. Like it doesn't. It's not like Bill Belichick was the almighty then. Like he was still like coming into his own.
And he cheats.
It's working
Yeah.
towards being a head coach. It happened to be. It developed in New England with the defense and grew from there.
with them. Who was the GM when he went over there? Because he wasn't originally GM.
I don't care.
Well, GM's responsible for Brady.
I don't care. I don't remember. I'm just, my point being, like, just because Bill Belichick is amazing in New England doesn't mean he would have been amazing in Baltimore. Same thing. Just because John Harbaugh brings 1 Super Bowl here doesn't mean John Harbaugh couldn't bring 4 Super Bowls in Kansas City. You know what I mean?
It's a little bit of a loaded question.
It's a loaded question because it's a different. It could so many different scenarios could happen. Like he still would have had. Testaverde was there for a short minute. If we only would have had a decent quarterback for a short amount of time, he still would have had terrible quarterbacks to begin with. Brady had to have something to do with that whole success.
Right. Well, I mean, we clearly see that.
He's now winning elsewhere.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is we don't. This year is going to tell you, does Bill Belichick and the Patriots bounce back and become a top contender? I agree with you. I don't think so. If he doesn't, I think it goes to show, okay, the GM that drafted Brady saw something, elevated it, and Brady put in the work, and Brady made that team what it was. And there would then be questions, how much influence did Brady have? Because obviously we know that Brady did have some influence, but is it more than we thought?
Or, I mean, even a little extra thing for no reason to bring up. I mean, does Bill Belichick still draft Brady? Here is he still around here enough to no, I like this kid in the 6th round. They draft him anyway. I mean, and even then, Brady got his job right out of the way because Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Yeah.
It's too many what ifs. All
right. We went way too long on this last call. We appreciate you guys.
Go out with a bang.
We'll see you guys next week. Fred will be back. We'll see ya.